Hello and welcome to our 2-hour transfer special. The deadline is in a couple of hours. Gonzo, are you expecting much business to be done for West Ham?
No, I'm not expecting any business. It's quite depressing. That's why I'm sat on my sofa. What can you say? What can you say, my friend? I'm sat on the sofa so I can watch the telly. The yellow stripe is going along the bottom of Sky Sports News. There's Swansea, there's Leicester, there's Chelsea, there's Watford are signing people. Everyone's signing somebody, but little old West Ham aren't signing anybody, or so it seems.
Right, let's get this, just in case we do a surprise loan. How are you feeling right this very second, right now?
I feel like the feeling is I've had the winds knocked out me sails. Obviously, we knew we were going to be doing a transfer deadline day show. We always do. I was looking forward to it. I had genuine expectation this morning. I thought we needed 3 or 4 players, so but I knew we wouldn't get 3 or 4. But I did think we'd get 1 or something because as we'll go on later on in the show, we don't have anyone that can pass the ball, and our defence are leaking loads of goals, and no one can put the ball in the back of the net apart from Chicharito, blah, 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 blah. We'll get into the details later. And I thought, well, at least the boards and the management or whoever is going to be savvy enough to know we need to get at least 1 player on board. And I kept on checking. I've been at work all day and I kept on checking the phone, and still nothing. But normally you'll get a rumour, won't you? No rumour, nothing. A little sniff about Wilshere this morning, nothing since. And as the day's gone on, I've sort of... I feel like I've had the life sucked out of me, quite frankly. I just don't think we're going to sign anyone. And it's thoroughly depressing. That's how I feel. Pretty depressed, actually.
Well, thank you to you guys joining us at home for this live stream. Drop a like on the video and subscribe if you're new. We've got a few people joining us over the evening. Young Tom will be joining us, then we'll have Charlie, then we're going to have Jason. And at the end, we've got Tom, who can also be angry Tom. So it'll be interesting to get his take near the end of the evening. I actually woke up, Gonzo. I was thinking, nah, we're surely going to sign at least 1 player. We can't not sign someone. We're just one of the worst performances I've seen in a long time on Saturday. We can't ignore that. We're going to get someone. Then I started to get worried. I thought, right, okay, there's nothing happening here. If there's one thing I don't like, if there's one thing I hate more than bullshit rumours, Gonzo, it's no rumours. I think I prefer the bullshit ones, to be honest. I think I prefer them. So I was getting a bit worried that there wasn't even any of them rumours kicking about. And then Sakho's horse thing happened. I was quite entertained for a couple of hours. I thought it was quite funny. For you that don't know, Sakho, well, he went to France for his own medical, got told to get his arse back, comes back and says, well, before I come to the London Stadium, I need to stop at Chelmsford racetrack because my agent has a horse running. So I, like a lot of other West Ham fans, had a look, seen that Mackay owns a horse called Siege under Boston or something it was called. We all had a little bit of money on it. The horse won. If you couldn't get any better. If you thought that was as funny as it's going to get, well, no. Because in the same race, there was a horse that wasn't running called the Happy Hammer. In the same race, what are the odds on that? You couldn't make it up. But anyway, I had a little laugh at that. I made a little bit of money. I'm home from work. Still no bullshit rumours. Still no real rumours. To be honest, Gonzo, I was getting a bit pissed off until I came on and me and you had a little laugh before we went live. I was actually starting to get really worked up, and I've got a feeling in the next couple of hours we're both going to get quite worked up over this.
Yeah, it's the calm before the storm. And I say a storm, it's almost like what they call a perfect storm. And it's actually a perfect storm for West Ham to continue doing atrociously. You couldn't, like your horse story there, you couldn't make that up because it's so ridiculous. It's just bordered on a ridiculous in terms of a transfer saga. You literally, if you wrote it and gave it to someone as a screenplay, they'd say, no, that's too unrealistic. What you probably could make up is what you could probably do just before the end of a transfer window when you were bottom of the league to scupper your chances of progressing any more. And that would be to put the manager in a position where he is demotivated and lacking in confidence. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Bilic has run his course on that sense. And I think Bilic should probably go because I don't think he's tactically got it in him to carry on. However, he is still, whilst he wasn't given the dreaded vote of confidence, nothing else has been said anyway, and obviously stuff has been leaked. So we now have a manager who probably feels quite isolated at the club. We have a set of players who are probably going to be quite upset because the manager is not in the authoritative position that he previously was. One of the players is running around to and from to France and betting on the horses. So that's going to make for a funny old dressing room. And then added to that, so you need to get your bottom of the league. You need to get out of that situation. You're going to need a manager. Okay, well, we've just discussed that. That's not a great situation. What you also need is to address the problems and the reasons as to why you're bottom of the league, as in the deficiencies of the team. So the other part of the perfect storm is we're not dealing with that either. So almost everything that could have been done to undermine our position has been done. And it's left us in a... I'm, as much as being worried that we won't bring a player in today, actually, overall, in terms of the club overall, I'm actually quite worried, particularly with clubs around us buying players. When you're bottom of the league, you need to improve, mate. You need to improve because it means something's wrong. We've not addressed any of the things we're wrong. And I'll tell you what, Slaven Bilic goes into that Huddersfield game as, in my opinion, far less motivated and less a manager than he was for the Newcastle game with no new players.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from the Bilic talk tonight because, believe it or not, a few people have actually messaged me, go, when are you going to give us your update on Bilic after Saturday? But I'm going to leave it for another video that I'll do with you next week because it's International Week. We've got plenty of time. And this is about transfers. We could probably spend the next 2 hours talking about Bilic and Bilic alone rather than the transfers itself. But what I will say for today is I think the board have decided they're not going to back Bilic financially, but they're not going to sack Bilic. And it's sort of like they're almost having their cake and eating it a little bit. They've now got an excuse not to spend the money, whereas they need to do one of the two. They need to either sack Bilic and then spend the money on who they want. So like the new guy comes in 2, 3 weeks, a month's time, he's got 2 new faces. Because signing a new player gives you a lift as well. It usually gives the club a lift, the team a lift. We saw what our own players were like when we signed Hernandez. Everyone was talking about how good it was to sign Hernandez, blah, blah. We almost need that. They almost need a morale boost. But right now, you've got players leaving, and every time they leave, they're turning around, and just before the door shuts, they're reaching for that knife and thinking, I'll just have a little twist before I leave. Randolph was today. Have you seen Randolph's comments today?
I have, yes.
Saying that it was a race to get out the door as soon as Joe Hart would come in. I mean, that's just common sense. Now, if we were sort of 6th in the league or 10th or whatever, and there wasn't all this stuff going on, you wouldn't pay attention to that. You'd go, well, that's normal. We've signed a keeper. One of these we're going to have to leave. That's fine. Of course, you're both itching to go out and get first-team football. But because we've got so much other stuff going on, you have to sort of take those words to the bigger picture and apply it to the bigger picture, if you like.
Well, I think on the back of Snodgrass's comments as well. So it all starts to pile up.
Yeah, you see the Snodgrass one, I'm a bit different to it, and I've seen everyone having a go at Bilic for this, but this raises a question to me about the transfer window. In January, our owners were happy to say we're buying Premier League players. They were banging that drum. David goes on BT Sports for the Man City game. Sullivan was on TalkSport. Well, we're buying Premier League players, right? Fine. As soon as they started to be a bit crap, it was Bilic to sign these players. Okay. But now Snodgrass is saying when he went to come on, Bilic said, where do you want to play? Now, surely Bilic picked him. Bilic would know where he wants him to play. So that raises more questions to me. Also, Snodgrass, statistically, this is a stat, played more games for West Ham on the right wing than he did on the left wing. So his whole thing is already invalid. He's making stuff up, really. Then he's also, why would you sign, if you were coming to play at West Ham, play right wing, with the greatest of respect, Robert, you're trying to take Antonio's position. Do you really think you were going to come in and replace Antonio? No, it wasn't happening. No West Ham fan, even the ones that wanted Snodgrass, no West Ham fan did I see say, oh yeah, can't wait for Snodgrass to come in and we'll put Antonio on the bench. Nobody said it because that was Antonio's position. So he wasn't going to be playing right wing. And when he did play right wing, Leicester at home, the prime example, he still couldn't fucking pass. He still couldn't cross the ball. And he still passed the buck to Sam Byram. The whole game, all he did was pass to Sam Byram. He's left and he's trying to pass the buck again as if to say, well, I was crap. It's Bilic's fault. No, mate, you were crap because you're crap. Granted, Bilic has done some things wrong. However, you can't just make up stats and say that you weren't playing right wing. The stats are black and white. You did play right wing. I think Snodgrass's comments, I'm not really fussed by it. The other ones are slightly more damaging when they talk about training and stuff.
And fitness. I don't mean the particulars, but they just add up. The comments all add up. If people leave and they make these comments, we don't know because we don't watch other clubs closely. We don't know if other players, when they leave clubs, do it to other clubs. But I just think on top of everything, because everything feels so, people keep using the word toxic. It's a good word. And because everything feels so toxic at West Ham at the moment, it's just everything's like a little needle, another little dagger. You know, they just add up, mate.
It's because the tide is on Bilic. Everything's going towards Bilic, and he's decided he's going to get a surfboard and go jump on that tide and ride along with it and hope that he gets an easy ride, if you like. But I don't see what his game is here, because all he's done is shut the door on West Ham, probably. He's only on a loan deal. He has to remember that. He's still essentially got a big contract. Now, is he trying to get a permanent move away? I don't know what he's trying to do. But at the end of the day, Bilic is still the manager. He's still a West Ham player come next season. I can't see either of them being next season.
I know you normally ask questions. Let me ask you a question. I know you don't want to talk about what your opinion on Bilic, but do you think Bilic will be a West Ham manager? Not whether you want him to, but do you think he will be manager in 10 games' time?
Unless he has a drastic turn of fortunes, no. I think it's now no going back time. It's a case of when he leaves, and it's the board are probably hoping that he does enough so he can leave at the end of the season. It costs them nothing, etc. It's Sam Allardyce all over again, really.
Well, I just wonder, with that regard, if the players don't feel that as well, and maybe Snodgrass knows he's coming back to West Ham, but also knows Bilic ain't going to be there when he comes back. So maybe that was a thing.
Indeed, and as you may have noticed on the live stream, we've got young Tom joining us. Now, I've not mentioned this guy's name because I know this guy, Tom, that's just joined us, is a bit pissed off about it. Tom, Carvalho. For you that don't know, we weren't in Carvalho all summer. We've not met their demands, We got told that he's not fit enough. He hasn't had a pre-season. We got told that Sporting are too difficult to deal with. Tom, talk to us.
Yeah, well, it's been a frustrating day, isn't it? I think my blood was certainly boiling earlier on this evening, especially after 3 Sporting players looked like they were on the way out today. And the fact that we've been told that Carvalho wasn't fit, like you said, not ready for pre-season yet. I think he's scored this evening, and apparently he's assisted one of the goals as well, which is brilliant. And it just feels exactly like before, when the whole talk was, talking up of trying to sell season tickets and being linked with big names. And we've been haggling over a fee of roughly around €5 million or short of for the past couple of weeks. And for 3 players to come in and potentially make bids and sign players from Sporting on deadline day, it just makes you think, what have they been doing for the past few weeks, And I just, earlier on this evening, you probably see me on Twitter, I blew my lid. In our group chats, I blew my lid. It's just absolutely shocking, to be honest with you, the way that we've dealt with this deal in particular, and the way that we've fannied around with it for the last few weeks, mate.
Gonzo, what do you make of this deal? I mean, Bilic doesn't often... one thing I will say about Bilic, he doesn't often pinpoint certain players. If he wants only when it sort of feels like it's in the final stages, does Bilic say, yes, I want that player, I want him. He doesn't do it very often. But he's done it with Carvalho. He was quite clear when he was asked about players. He said, "Oh, we're bringing in one player, Carvalho. He was quite confident."
Final piece of the jigsaw, I think is what he said, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, sometimes 2 and 2 makes 5, and you can get the wrong idea. 2 and 2 makes 4 on this occasion. It's quite clear what's going on. The club don't want to sign him. Bilic wants to sign him, and the club do not want to spend the money. It's clear we've got money. I almost asked just before I came on to someone to give me the breakdown of the net spend, but maybe you guys can tell me. We've spent about 13 million. Is that about right?
Yeah, you won't be fired off with that. Give or take.
Give and take the last 2 years, I think it's about 4 million net spend as well.
Okay. But if we go this transfer window, okay, it's about 13 million. Now, I think by all accounts, looking at the TV deals, so on and so forth, we should have had 40, 50, 60 million. So clearly there's money there for one big stellar signing. We've always thought so. So the money's there. I don't think they're going to nick the money and run off into the night. I think they've just decided they're not going to back Bilic with it. I think they're trying to say, it's such blinkered thinking. I think they're going to save it for January, in which case sack the manager, give a manager the money now so as he can spend it, because if you get to January, we might already be gone. As I said, this sort of perfect storm, we're creating a perfect storm to go down at the moment. I don't want to be too sensationalistic. So for me, it's clear they don't want Carvalho now, but Bilic does. They don't want to back him because they're going to sack him. Those, well, they're not facts, but that is my theory on it. Of course, the ridiculous thing is, even if that is true, and I don't see any future for Bilic, what is plain and the evidence before everyone's eyes is we've got serious problems in midfield. So if they weren't going to do that, where is our midfielder that they deem is decent, that the next manager is going to enjoy? It's almost like they're saying, actually, we're not going to back Bilic with this player, so we're going to sign nobody. And that's my take on it.
Well, that's what I was waiting to say, because there's now reports coming out tonight that Bilic has been offered players and Bilic has turned them down. Now, Tom, can you say, well, we're not spending 40 million because the manager wants him and we're not sure about the manager, but then say to the manager, do you want them? And the manager goes no, and go, okay, well, we'll listen to you now then. So if you don't want to spend money, we're listening, but if you do want to spend money, we want to know.
Yeah, and this is the thing, you know, we could say for the past season and a half that the board and Bilic have just been on a completely different wavelength, and almost when it suits them, it's you know, more when they want something, or if you know, if it suits them, they'll do it. And this is, like we said, this is clearly a target that Bilic had earmarked, the last proper signing that we wanted for the rest of the summer. But obviously, like you said, the board clearly didn't want Bilic. But if it adheres to the board and it's someone that, okay, maybe we can get Andre Gomez on a season-long loan, who is a completely different player to Carvalho. But like you said, when it makes sense for the board, you know, you can't argue with them, and Bilic is scapegoated again. And I'm sure we'll have a statement come out from David Goldlight a couple of seasons ago saying, you know, we tried our best, etc. But I just don't understand. I think, to back up as well quickly what Gonzo said, you know, if you know that you're not going to back Bilic for that money, we've had nearly a week since the Newcastle game to potentially get rid of a manager. Fair enough, you know, it might have been difficult to try and get his replacement in before the deadline, but we should have earmarked these targets, or at least given someone, if we knew that this was the path that we were going to go down, get rid of him earlier. And I wasn't firmly against Bilic out at all. You know, I was a big supporter of Bilic last season. But after the way that we've started this season, I honestly thought, after the signings that we made in July, I thought, great, we're on a real path to success here this season. But there was clear issues in the team, glaring issues that have led us to go for three straight losses. And the thing is, we needed to sign players. We needed to build on that. Like Crystal Palace this afternoon realised they've got defensive issues, letting in goals, not signing strikers. And they've gone out and signed Sakho for 26 million. We have the money there. And like you said, it just seems to be that difference between Bilic and the board of the targets they have and the targets Bilic has and who Bilic wants. And, you know, it just, to be honest with you, the whole transfer policy, the situation and everything that's happened is just an absolute mess in the last month. And the thing is, it all looks so positive. We were all singing their praises, saying fantastic. But something didn't feel right, even in pre-season. And that issue has been there now as well, and not just in pre-season, but for the first few games. And there's a clear issue with, not like I said, not just, we all thought that it was a 15 to 20 season goal striker that we needed, but evidently not. You know, obviously we did need it, but the problem seems to run deeper. And I cannot, and this is what has annoyed me so much this week, I cannot fathom how they've not seen that after the first 3 games and not. Fair enough, if you're not going to back Bilic, even David Sullivan, to go out and make a few of his, you know, Sully special signings or something to build on that, because we've got rid of all of our depth, you know. And I'm sorry, I'm bleating on here, but you get what I mean. It's just the way the transfer policy is run at the minute at the club. It's just infuriating and shocking, Geo.
Yeah, Gonzo, anything to add to what Tom's ranting on about?
No. Well, yeah, I mean, there's lots to add, and I think we'll continue to add to it all evening. But I think when he was speaking, and he touched on something actually, which is more of a feeling than an analysis. And when he was saying it, I thought, you know what, it was rosy. It did feel rosy a little while ago. It did feel like we were getting somewhere, and we were happy. And Hernandez was coming in, and you know, at the time, obviously, we didn't know he was going to let in all those goals, and we didn't know the defence was going to perform poorly. Joe Hart's coming in, Zabaleta's coming in, and now Tavic. Oh, this is, and we were. There was a good vibe and a good feeling. And isn't it funny how this clearly was bubbling under the surface? And again, just like he said, evidently it wasn't enough. Well, it wasn't. I mean, look at our defence, look at our midfield. You just wonder how this has been allowed to happen. And we've spent so long, maybe we deluded ourselves. We spent so long banging on about the need for a decent striker and a right back, and we all did, on and on and on. Actually, we got those, and we realised actually there's a lot more work needs doing. And because a lot more work needs doing, this is not the time to, number one, be having doubts about a manager or having the wrong guy in charge, whether you back him or you sack him, whatever. Something needs to be clearly be done. He needs to be gone or he needs to be backed. No time for dilly-dally on that, and not the time at all for not bringing in players. And when Tom says there might be a statement tomorrow saying we've tried our hardest, I think you can probably get away with a comment like that if you had already spent 30, 40 million. But if our net spend is 13 million, I just don't think that cuts it anymore. A statement saying that we've tried our hardest, because actually fans aren't stupid, and you can see the evidence, and you can see everyone else signing players. Chelsea agreed £23 million fee with Torino for defender Zappa Costa. Never heard of him, but people are spending 23 million. 20 millions here. Everyone's spending 20 millions here, there, and everywhere. We're not involved.
Testament to that, just Birmingham on deadline day. Harry Redknapp has pulled out some incredible signing. You know, Alex Song's going for. We're rivaling them for apparently Jack Wilshere on loan. They've signed Jota from us, who we were looking at earlier in the window for 6-7 million. It just, I think, the word ambition is key, because clearly there was reinforcements that are needed on top of it. Like I said, fair enough, we need to improve that overall 11 this year, and that, well, I think we've done that. But by doing so, we've just completely ruined or completely taken away any squad depth that we've had. And I think, you know, the fact that there was supposed to be a one-in, one-out policy with first-team players, and like Gonzo said, and like many people have said, that net spend has come all the way down now because we've gotten rid of everything. It's something 17 out to 5 in. It's just lie on top of lie on top of lie. And I think that's what fans are getting more and more infuriated and frustrated about. And they're slowly cottoning on to what the owners are doing. And it, like, as a transfer policy, it is just absolutely appalling. And I just, like I said, I think the ambition, of other clubs, saw West Brom didn't spend any time about going to get Krychowiak. Fair enough, Paul Clement had, you know, contacts within Bayern Munich with Ancelotti, but Swansea have somehow gone and got Sanchez. And I just think, you know, clubs seem to be earmarking these transfers and where they need upgrades and stuff, but not with us. You know, it's always we seem to be run in a different way to every other Premier League club. You know, and I can't think of another club, maybe other than Arsenal, for being so inept and just shocking about doing business. And that's how it feels like at the minute. Being a West Ham fan, we just run as a business. There's not, you know, any thought towards the fans or what's going in, you know, for us or any. It's just a business, and we're just being treated like dog shit. And it's just, I think today you've seen on the bust up that's been on social media and how peeved off people are getting, that I tell you, if we lose to Huddersfield, it is all going to come to a head, and it is going to get very nasty in the next few months.
I've got to come in on that. He's absolutely right, because actually, if you think about the Watford games, the Watford game last season, that stadium was toxic then, and fans were fighting amongst themselves. And he's absolutely right. You know, it's got us to a position where everyone's angry, and it just creates such a nasty atmosphere for everyone. I'm just amazed how quickly it's turned like this, quite frankly.
Yeah, what I will say though, I'll come back to that. If there's a lot of people in the live chat saying they're getting angry, take out your phone, record your little rant on your phone, send it to info@hammerschat.com. We'll stick it on our second channel, links below. But
I've had three sent 15 minutes before this.
People come in. What I will say actually is, last year when it came to a point, we were sort of mid-table. We were on the slide, but we were sort of mid-table. People were saying we could get dragged into relegation battle. That's when it came to a head. It's worse this time because we're bottom of the league. So it's not like we could get dragged. So we are bottom of the league now. And what's even worse is, for me, this summer was the board's chance. A lot of people were saying this is your last chance. And it felt like they took a step forward with the 4 signings. They had took a step forward. It feels like since then they've took a step back, and it feels like in the last 48 hours or so they've took another step back. Social media is rife tonight. There's people doing polls, and there's 90% of people wanting Bilic to leave. There's 90% of people wanting the board to leave. I mean, this is a mess. I mean, let's talk about Sakho quickly then. He fucked off to France, just booked in his own medical, buggered off, got told to get back. We did the horse story earlier, which was funny. But the point is, we've got 3 strikers. 2 of them are made of Weetabix, and one of them is Sakho, who wants out of the club. Tom?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely shocking. And again, this is, and I'll make another point in a second about the Sakho deal. But like you said, this I do feel sorry for Bilic, because I as a manager, I don't think you can be that thick to know that, especially when you've got injury-prone strikers like Carroll and Sakho, that you might not potentially need another forward target to come in this window just to back up in case. Fair enough, we might not have seen Tony Martinez. He doesn't like to play youth. Maybe he's going to be integrated and play a bigger role next year. Fair enough. But I don't think you can be that thick as a manager to not see that you need a replacement up there. And this is the thing with Bilic. He's probably thinking, great, maybe Mikel Antonio can fill in as a striker, or putting Ayew up there as a striker. You don't know how his mind works. You know what he's like with his tactics. But I just think this whole Sakho situation, people have been, like we said earlier on today, you know what? He had a horse running in 3-12. We found it quite funny earlier. But when you look back on it now, a couple of hours later, it's just made us look like an absolute laughingstock to every other team in the league. And the way that the Sullivan boys, and fair enough to them, I've liked the fact that they both kept off social media and not tweeted stuff. But then when you're coming out with pictures of, heads of the Wolf of Wall Street saying, oh, he's not leaving, he's not this, you've got that, and acting like they're happy about it. I wanted Sakho frigging gone months ago, but the fact that he threw his toys out the pram the second time, he should have gone. The fact what he's done this time, booking a medical and agreeing personal terms with the club, away, you don't do that. You've got a contract with West Ham. That is Payet-esque. It's just, and the thing is, he's claiming this evening he's had personal issues for the past few months. But that's just probably an excuse for him to get back and go to France again. It's just, pleading on people's, on the guilt and hoping that people feel sorry for him. But you've got a contract with West Ham. How dare you think that you're bigger than the club to be able to go and do that? And the fact that we've tolerated this crap from Sakho especially, we know what he's like for the past few months, and it just, this situation with him today has just made us look like an absolute laughingstock, and it's just the icing on the cake on top of all of the transfer stuff. And do you know what? I hope that the board have allowed him to go this evening and that he will go and finalise a move to Rennes. But at the same time, shit. Then we've got who have we got then for striker options? But he is another one that is just, there's something so toxic about it. It's such a toxicity with Sakho and what he brings to West Ham and his mood swing and everything. I want him gone, but I think the way he's gone about it is absolutely shocking. Like I said, it's made us look like a laughingstock today.
The worst thing about Sakho is I'm not even surprised. Do you know when all this happened? At no point did I go, what's he doing? I was just like, oh, it's just another thing Sakho's doing. Personal issues. Listen, we all have personal stuff going on in our life. I still fucking turn up at work. Gonzo still goes to work. We don't just go, well, then we're not going to work today. We've got some personal problems. We don't just down tools in Gonzo's sense, quite literally. We don't just down tools. We get on with life. We get on with our job. This guy played about, 6 games last season, and he thinks he can call the shots on us. At least Payet gave us a year and a half of memories. At least Payet turned out world-class performances and won points on his own. He probably deserved a move. Probably not the way he did it, but he probably deserved to move to a better club, etc. Sakho doesn't even deserve a move to fucking Cheltenham. I don't know. I don't know how he's got the cheek to do it. How does he not feel guilty? There's pictures of him at London Stadium tonight, and it's desperate. We're trying to get this guy back from France and take him in, put our arm around him, mollycoddle him, try and persuade him to stay at West Ham. What do you have for Sakho? The guy has been getting paid for the last year and a half for playing a handful of games. Him! That's who we're desperately trying to keep. It's baffling. It's what Tom said about how Bilic can't be happy with this. I've always said this. Bilic backs his players. And if someone says, do you want another striker? I think he sees it. Well, if I say yes, that means I'm saying to my current strikers, yous aren't good enough. So I very rarely listen to what Bilic says in press conferences now. He's media trained. Everyone else is media trained now. I kind of take what they say at face value. But the Sakho thing, are we really going into our season with Hernandez, Carroll, and Sakho as our strikers? That's worse than last season almost. I know it was Zaza and Clary, but at least we had 4 strikers. We've now got 3. It's mental. It's Gonzo, your shot.
I think the right thing to do is to take a stand, but they've done it at the wrong time. Because as I said before, when that Payet thing happens, they were creating a blueprint of how to get out of West Ham. And I'll tell you what, I've said it before, and you know I've said it before. When it came out, and I was thinking it earlier, thinking, there we go, he's following the Payet blueprint. And then, as Tom said, just before we came online here, it turned around, and then the personal problems came out. It all, I mean, you almost couldn't make out. The trouble is, you can't make a stand now because the genie is, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. You know what I mean? It's all, closing the stable door after the horse has bolted. The blueprint was made. This is what you do if you want to leave West Ham. You bugger off. Not only do you bugger off, you stipulate exactly the club you want to join. You're saying you're not joining anyone else but this club. You walk out. You refuse to engage with everyone else. You break all the rules, and eventually you'll get your transfer. Now, under any other circumstances, I'd say, yeah, absolutely right. There's no way we can let him go, but it should have been done with Payet, and it should have done before, and it is too little, too late with him. Can we actually sell him and leave ourselves with 2 strikers? Possibly not. So you'd normally think that was a good thing. Okay, so at least we keep ourselves with 1 striker. But it's more complicated than that because he's disenfranchised himself so much from the club that actually he's almost useless being there because also you can't play him. How is he going to reintegrate with the squad? How are you actually, as a manager, whether it's him or whether it's Slaven Bilic, whether it's Slaven Bilic or somebody else, going to say to him, well, actually, you can come back into the squad now? And the only thing I can think is that the board are doing it, not from any moral standpoints. As I said, they would have done that before if it was a moral thing with the Payet thing. But they know that Bilic is going, and when a new manager comes in, they're going to say, well, hold on, here's your other striker. And that might give Sakho a fresh start with a new manager, which leads us back to the original question. If he is a lame duck, why on earth is Bilic still there?
Do you know what, though? It would surprise me. The last point from me on the Sakho thing. It wouldn't surprise me. The only reason that David Gold has come out and said that he's an integral part of the squad, I don't think he sees him as an integral part of the squad to get back there. But it's just because they haven't earmarked any transfer targets up front that they need, and they realise that they're short on strikers. And I think that's why he said it. I don't think they wanted to let him go because he's an integral part, but just because they don't have anybody in place to buy as potentially as a backup. And
it's happened so late, Tom. It's happened so late, you know.
The worst thing is, in the summer, everyone said we needed 2 strikers. Everyone. You can make a debate if you said centre-back or not. You can make a debate if you said Joe Hart or not. Even centre midfield. I said we didn't need a centre midfielder. I was wrong. It turns out we do. But in the summer, I thought if we can get 2 strikers, a right back and a left winger, we're looking good. Everyone was saying 2 strikers. However, we haven't got Hernandez. Everyone was like, oh, brilliant. Who's next? Everyone was talking if it'll be Batshuayi on loan or Andre Gray. Well, we now go get Andre Gray. Now, if we'd done that, we'd be able to sell Sakho today without a problem. Go, yeah, off you pop. See you later. 4 million. I mean, I was happy for him to go for free in the summer. I just wanted him out of the club because of his attitude. And this just shows why we should have got rid of him. But the reason we can't get rid of him is because we haven't acted in the last 2 months or something in order to be in a position where we can get rid of him. We've been incompetent. We've got those 4 signings in. They're fantastic signings. I'm not going to start saying those 4 signings are poor. They're brilliant signings. Them 4 are brilliant signings. But we got them in and we stopped. We rested on our laurels. We said 1 out, 1 in. Since then, at least 2 have left. No one's coming. We've now got about 2 flipping wingers, 2 wingers, and we play with 2 wingers on the pitch at all times. It's mental.
Do you know what it has? It has the hallmarks, not football, but just in business. It has the hallmarks of asset strippers before they sell. That's what it looks like. It looks like severe asset stripping before you sell. I'm sure they're not going to sell, but that's the sort of behaviour actually.
I reckon that they were both banking potentially on dominoes falling. And I think it's gone completely against the way they'd expected. I think potentially maybe if Llorente hadn't have gone to Spurs, we'd have probably been looking, they were banking on Llorente going to Chelsea and potentially Bonnie going back to Swansea and us having, a deal potentially for Batshuayi open up on loan again. You know, that it just looks like they've waited to see everybody else's transfer business to see if, you know, they can penny pinch or get that last loan in. But that's not what you do if you're aiming to go to that next level. You put your money where your mouth is and you make those signings. And I just think that they've waited to try and wait to the last minute to see if they can pull out a last minute deal for a Batshuayi or someone like that. But the cards have all fallen differently. People are signing for different clubs and it's not worked. And I want to make that clear, like you said. The signings that we made in July, I don't have any issues with those whatsoever. Like you, I think they're fantastic signings. My standpoint on it was that we needed to continue that and keep spending.
What I will say is, we should have done one signing before the transfer window opened, and we didn't do it. And that is a director of football. How often have we sat here thinking there needs to be communication, how we do transfers? Today, yesterday, the last week or so is a prime example of what happens if you don't have someone in charge, or you do have someone in charge. You've got David Sullivan in charge, who fancies himself as a director of football, but he's not capable of being a director of football. He likes to think he is. He's playing real-life football manager with our flipping football club right now. That's what he's doing. He's playing real-life football manager, and he's trying to work out a way on how to reset it and go back 2 days because his transfers haven't worked out how he likes it. He's trying to work out how you do that. Well, there is no quit and load up your game option, unfortunately, David. This is real life. Real people's money he's messing with here, and it's not good. We've messed up not getting a director of football. We've done a number of shows, guys. Even when I spoke to Tom and Tim outside the London Stadium in summer, we said one thing needs to change, and that is the transfers. The strategy needs to be changed. Them three, Henry, Sullivan, and Bilic, need to communicate more. They need to get someone in to do the communicating for them. And right now, it looks like they're just happy to pass the buck to each other. Well, he said he wants that. He said he doesn't want that. Well, I didn't want him, and he wanted him. It's just everyone's passing the bloody buck. And there's no one taking responsibility. And the guy that should be taking responsibility is in fucking Spain right now on deadline day. He's on holiday.
It actually beggars belief. And it's so bordering on ridiculous. I almost didn't believe it. I don't just mean him being on holiday. I just mean the whole charades, and it is a charade. People have been saying circus, the whole circus of West Ham in the build-up to transfer deadline day. And because it is unbelievable. You can't think, well, actually, he's going to go on holiday. They're going to undermine the manager. And it was quite prophetic, and I do mean prophetic. There was a thing, somebody's posted it on social media today, and it was from 2009, and it was written by Birmingham fans, just saying, look, Hammers fans, just want you to know this is what happens when Gold and Sullivan take over. And there was one particular post, which I won't bore you with now, and they was talking about Birmingham, but the way it was listed, it sounded so familiar. He was just saying what will happen is Sullivan will come and he'll run your club from top to bottom. David Gold will just be there to assist, but not really be doing anything very much. You'll be promised lots of big signings, but when it actually comes to the final day, those signings won't happen. You'll be running at not a deficit, but he'll and then he'll constantly be talking about paying the debts off. If you just change the words Birmingham in it to West Ham, it will almost read like West Ham, and it just makes me wonder. And I don't want to believe it, and I sort of haven't believed it until now. And even today, I was thinking, we are going to sign someone. But it does make you wonder if we've all been duped here, And then you start thinking about the stadium and the bowling ground. You think, hold on, where is this next level? Because I tell you what, we may well be moving to a different level, but just not the one we think.
Tom?
Can only earmark what Gonzo said. I think, I read that post, I think it was a few months ago. I think I read that post as well, and it's resurfaced again today. Completely right. And I think there was another post as well that was shared on KUMB, I think, where somebody had done their own exploring into, Gold and Sullivan. And, it just feels like they are literally just profiting off of the back of West Ham as a club at the minute. They are just, like I said, I just feel like we've all been taken for mugs, and they are just solely profiting in the millions, and not just the small. We're talking hundreds of millions, it seems, at the minute, that they are profiting in, and every dream that we were sold is it's like it's being thrown back in our face, and I think the one video I kept seeing over and over again today was the Mark Noble, this club isn't run like a circus anymore, and it just you know, oh, they're going to make those signings. They're going to take us to that next level. And like Gonzo said, we are going to another level. Like Gonzo said, it probably ain't going to be the one that we want either. It's going to be down. And I just, the whole thing, unfortunately, Mark, is run like a circus at the minute. And I'm lost for words today, especially, you know, today included in the last month and the way that things have gone. It's just, I'm genuinely just shocked with how they've dealt. And you like Gonzo said, you couldn't write this stuff. You know, that David Sullivan's on holiday on the final day of the transfer window when obviously clearly business is needed to be done. Like I said, it just we are an absolute shambles, and we're just looking to the rest of the league like an absolute joke at the minute.
Right, I'm gonna disappear a minute. I'm genuinely ready to get an iron brew because my throat is sore from ranting. So I'll be back in a minute. I'll leave you to these two, but Charlie will be joining us in a minute anyway. But I'll be back in a minute, you two.
Go on, Gonzo. What should we talk about? Some other transfers in the club? Should we perk ourselves up a bit? Kylian Mbappe, what do you think of him, mate?
Well, hold on. Before we do Mbappe, do you mind? Well, hold on. I will say about Mbappe. That's just a fiddle. That's a fiddle, so as they don't break the FIFA
fair play thing. Yeah, they've gone around it, haven't they?
Because they signed Neymar for whatever it was, 189, whatever, depending on what paper you read, and then they said that I think Barca wanted to report them to the financial fair play, and then rather than actually they wanted Mbappe, so now they're saying, "Oh, Mbappe's on loan." How is he? Fucked. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, no,
is he held? Yes, that's what really got my attention was Domingos Quina.
Oh, to Sheffield United, yeah.
Yeah, you're up in Yorkshire yourself, aren't you, at the moment?
I am, yeah. Unfortunately,
we can't be dealing with those flaming scallywags. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I've got one for you. Just before Geo, he's just come back. I was
going
to say,
go on.
I think Danny Drinkwater's worth 40 million. As he cracks open his can of iron brew. 40 million for Danny Drinkwater?
But they signed Kante for 30 million, didn't they?
I don't actually think I've ever seen Drinkwater go forward. I think he just goes side to side, doesn't he? I don't
crab,
know that £40 million price tag.
The old crab. No, but they've gone crazy. You know, Mourinho said at the start of the window, he said, look, I'm pleased for this season because Paul Pogba, the pressure is going to be taken off him because he was the world's most expensive footballer. Wait until you see a few of the deals that are done now. And I thought, yeah, Jose giving it all of that. He was absolutely right.
Before we talk about Queen, I heard you mention him. I want to have a rant about Queen, actually. But anyway, Tom, it's time for you to piss off because we've now got the beardy one to join us. But Tom, thank you for joining us.
No worries.
See you, mate.
Intently watching you guys, and I'll speak to you later on.
See you, mate.
Later, boys.
Good evening. Charlie, what's your thoughts? Come on, you've been listening for the last 45 minutes or so. You've been having a rant on social media as well. You've actually been the opposite, though. You've been a bit more defensive than while a lot of people have been offensive. You've been a bit more defensive.
Yeah, you know me. I mean, I tend to be a bit calmer than most people and think about things a little bit differently. And I'm pissed off at the way things have gone. I think that I think as a club, we need to take stock and sort of look at how everything is run, especially. I think the structure of the club is just all out of whack and it's just not working. And if we ever have aspirations of getting to the next level, which they're so fond of saying, if we ever have aspirations of actually making that, then we just can't carry on like this because in charge, no matter what's happening elsewhere, like the structure just will not work. We're in disarray. Nothing makes any sense. People are flying all over the shop. It makes no sense. Nothing works. And yeah, I've been having a rant and going on the forum and and saying things and it's, you know, even in the live chat now, I was just doing live chat. Everyone's pissed off. Everyone's angry. It's been a crap day, and you know, it's not going to be a fun couple of months, I think.
Charlie, you must surely think we need more, though.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so one of the reasons I loved a window was the depth that we had as a squad after that. Those players did not work out, which it turns past they didn't. I thought we had the squad depth. Like, let's say Faguli for workout, he would be a good enough backup to have. Like, I'm not going to complain to have Mikel Antonio and Faguli as our right wing choices. That would be fine. Life goes on. You might think badly of one, you might think badly of the other. It doesn't matter. I thought, okay, depth. We've got depth now. just got shot with everyone that failed last summer. And that stupid decision, because A, we don't need the money, B, it wasn't that much money to begin with. Guli went for 4.5 million, whatever it was. Nordveit went for 4, which was stupid. Like, we don't need the money, and yet we sold them. I said at the time when we signed those players that I was reservations and problems with each of the transfers individually, but I was happy enough. I was like, that's cool. And then everyone got really gassed and hyped up, rightly so. And the board started appearing. David Sullivan was on Flipping TalkSport, or whatever it was, going, oh yeah, we've done a great job. Oh, what a fantastic job we've done. Dude, you had one good week. A good week where you signed some good players. And it was a fantastic week. One of the better weeks we've had since you've been in charge. But it was a week since then. And so I do think we need more. I think we need a defensive midfielder who will just sit quite desperately. We don't really have one of those. Obiang can do an all right job, but he's not that. We need one of those quite desperately. I think that frees up the likes, well, other players around him to push forward. We need a backup left midfielder because Arnautovic doesn't have the consistency or the mental to play an entire season. Like, we do need things. But it's not the most catastrophic situation in the world. However, we cannot continue forward like this. Like, we just can't. There's no option there.
Gonzo, we finished tonight. No new signings, like it's looking. There's an hour and 10 minutes left. And unless we've managed to pull off the mother of all transfers and kept it completely secret, which will be the first one in a long time we've done, do we have a relegation-capable squad?
Okay. If we, and this is where the mindset comes in, okay? If we had 4 points on the board now, and we were sat wherever 4 points takes you, whatever, let's say we're in 16th place, 15th place, 13th, whatever 4 points is, right? And there hadn't been any trouble with Bilic, and Sakho hadn't buggered off to France and gone to the horse racing, right? If none of those things had happened, I think we'd look at our squad now and look at our team and think, okay, things are pretty good. I think we'd be happy with it, okay? I think we'd probably consider that we'd done good business. Let's be fair. 2 weeks ago, whatever, or after the first game, we all thought we'd done good business, okay? It's not been the case, though. And what I do find is that we are bottom of the league. We do have no points. And at that point, you have to address it, but you have to address it now because the next time you get to address it is January, and it might be too late by then. So whilst it might have looked enough, we actually are in a position, and even for the next hour, where we do have the benefit of hindsight. In hindsight, our team ain't quite as good as we thought it is. And I've got to say, if we had a manager that was confident or that hadn't been undermined or whatever, I probably think we do have a squad that can get us out of relegation. And if we can get our best team onto the pitch, we have a team that's better than relegation. But with the cloud that the club and particularly the management are under at the moment, I think with this set of players, we have every chance of getting, I say sucked into a relegation fight, of staying in the relegation fight.
Charlie, do you think we've got a relegation squad? I suppose you've got to consider Bilic in here. Do you think we've got a relegation club right now?
The players, it's weird. I've said this before on a show, and to you personally, the players individually are all good enough. They are. Like, Reed and Ogbonna are good enough not to get relegated as centre backs. You know, like Zabaleta is good enough. Cresswell and Masuaku are good enough. Individually, we have a squad that should be realistically top 10. A squad of players, I should say. Each player is good enough to be a top 10 player at the very least. Basically, you would say. You might have a disagreements about one or two, but in the whole, you would say, do you know what? You look at those individuals, they're a top 10. There's no gelling. And I continuously shout about the formation because I think 4-3-3 is complete rubbish. Transition from attack to defense. We cannot transition from defense to attack. And again, Tom spoke about it very briefly, but we can't get the ball to them, which is why I get so frustrated, especially when people talk about, oh, we need to change the 2 up front. Yeah, but we can't get the ball to the striker anyway. What's taking away another midfielder going to do to that? We have serious problems, and that is deadly, because in this league, if you don't get back quick enough, you will concede. If you don't get forward quick enough, you will not score. It's as simple as that. And we cannot do that. And I've continuously been a defender of Bilic, but even I'm at the point where I'm like, well, dude, if you're not doing it, like, it doesn't matter whether you know what you're doing and the players just aren't taking it out on the pitch or what. It doesn't matter. If you're not doing it, we're not going to get the board out, unfortunately. As much as I want that to be the case, they're not leaving. They own the thing. I think, well, maybe even me, who is a Bilic, I wouldn't say I'm pro Bilic, but I certainly defend him quite a lot. Maybe we just need someone fresh just to take up that sort of, just to figure it out, because there's something wrong. There is something fundamentally wrong with the way West Ham play. Because
just to answer my question, do you think this club right now can potentially be relegated?
I don't want it not. No, I think there are worse teams, and we're still incredibly early on in the season.
Wait. I didn't ask if you think we'd get relegated. I'm asking if you think this club potentially could get relegated.
Anything can happen, and anything can happen, because the fact of the matter is, we've said it before as a team. We've all said it. You can't be too good to get relegated. It's happened to us before. We've been there before as a club. We've seen other clubs go down who shouldn't have gone down because they were supposedly too good to go down. So of course, like, news, then we're going down. It's simple as that. There's no other way around it.
So my question now is, Charlie, if we've got a club that could potentially get relegated, how do the owners not think that we're a club that can get potentially relegated? What are they possibly thinking? Because surely they'd be getting that checkbook out thinking, we need to get 2 players in here, whether the manager wants them or not, we don't care. Jack Wilshere, Batshuayi, Llorente, whoever. Let's go get 2 players that are good enough. So if Bilic doesn't work out, we do sack him in 2-3 games' time. The new manager's got 2 or 3 new players of decent ability. Because right now, the squad we've got, I know we said it's top 10. I agree with you, because I thought we'd finish 10th. But what we've seen this season, would you say Sam Byram, Font, Noble, Hernandez, Ayew, could they play for a top 10 team? And your way to say no, they might not start. I get that. But I'll tell you what, our squad depth is looking very, very thin. We're about 2 injuries away from having to start half of those players against Huddersfield.
Yeah, you're right. And when you say what are the board thinking, who knows what they're thinking? They seem to just go as the wind blows and do whatever. Who knows what the hell they're thinking? Apparently, they were thinking that Carvalho wasn't fit enough, and then all of a sudden he pops up for Portugal and gets a goal and gets an assist. Who knows what the club are thinking at any one time? The problem is, like you say, the depth is no longer there. Last summer, despite what you may have thought of any of those signings, the depth was there. And it almost made sense that we weren't playing youth players, because we had 15 players basically who could play in any one position. And in that sense, it tended not to matter about the injuries because we had more. But the depth just isn't there, to the point where we didn't even get a South American loan. We've got one. We have never gone through a time where we haven't had some random bloke from South America sitting on our bench as a striker who will come on and inevitably miss a sitter. We don't even have that now. So the depth just isn't there. And when the injuries do eventually come, and we've seen it already start, but when they do eventually hit again, which they always tend to do, unless wonders, those people are going to start. And then all of a sudden, options. And that's a terrible thing in this league.
Gonzo, if this window shuts, no new signings, are we entering squeaky bum time between now and Huddersfield? It's a long bloody wait until we play Huddersfield as well, by the way. I mean, that's a night that cannot come quick enough in terms of calming. I mean, if we win that, it'll take a lot of pressure off. But if we don't win, we've got West Brom away, which is never easy. Then we've got Spurs at our place. I mean, it's not like...
I totally agree, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's 3 types of people in this life. There are some that learn from advice. There are some that have to make a mistake before they learn, and there are some that never bloody learn. And I'm thinking the latter in this case, because I think there's a bit of stalling going on. I'm thinking of Abraham Grant. And I think it was stall. There was the whole thing with Martin O'Neill, and then it was just too bloody late. In terms of what the owners are thinking, we'll never know. Charlie said, who knows what they're thinking? I'm going to have a guess, okay? I think they want to sack Bilic. I think they know they should sack Bilic, but I think they're overthinking. I think they're thinking too much. I think they probably think we want to sack him, but we can't. They're so bothered with perception and how they look. I don't think we probably can't sack him yet, you know, because it looks bad and we don't want to get the reputation of sacking people too early. Abramovich wouldn't think twice about it. A lot of clubs, if they don't think someone's right, they'll just get rid of them 3 games. Di Matteo won the Champions League, bang, he was gone. People don't care, okay? And I think they're worried about what the backlash will be. And of course, the irony is, by not doing anything, they're actually creating a bigger backlash. And what always happens is when results start to turn, with any club, not just West Ham, results start to turn, people look at the manager. And at that point, the board really have to deal with the manager at that point. Otherwise, the fans start turning towards the board. And I think they knew that. And I thought they knew that. Clearly they don't, because now, as much as people still think the same about Bilic's tactics and whatnot, I think they're looking round and they're thinking, well, hold on a second. It's not just them. We have a bigger picture here. And in terms of the run of fixtures that you were saying and that big gap between now and Huddersfield, it's not just it's a big gap. At what point during that, what could possibly we do as a club to inject a feel-good factor back into the club between now and Huddersfield to make training fun, to make the players feel like they've got a tactical plan, to make the club feel unified? The answer is there is no way. The only one way would have been to have signed some players and got that done. We've missed that opportunity. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a pretty dour place to be over the next week or two before that Huddersfield game. I just can't see how, even forgetting tactics, how the whole club itself and the players that need to get on that pitch are going to be able to lift their spirits and in turn lift the fans' spirits. I just think it's going to be it's going to seem like a long old week or two, as it were.
It's not going to take very long for the fans to turn against Huddersfield either. It won't take very long. This whole thing, it's the transfer window's having an impact. Today is having an impact. This whole thing is going to have fans frustrated and angry. And all Huddersfield have to do on the pitch is piss us off for 10 minutes, and that place will start to turn very, very quickly. And then that's when fans have to decide, are they going to shout Bilic, piss off, or are they going to point at the boardroom and say, you lot, piss off? And there's going to be people doing both. And I have to agree about the Bilic sacking. I knew they wouldn't sack him on Saturday because they're too afraid of what the media and the other professionals in the game think. They ain't got the bollocks to do it because, one, people will say he hasn't had a home game yet, and that's their fault. So if people turn around, the media, not the fans, the media and other professionals in the game turn around and say, you're sacking Bilic without a home game, that is down to the board. It's not Bilic's fault, it's down to the board. So they will say, Slav's not had a fair share here yet. They are saying that. Rio, Savage, and someone else on BT Sports were saying that exact thing. He's not had a home game yet. So they're not going to do that. Also, they don't want to sack someone 3 games in the season. Now, I get what fans are saying. It's not 3 games. It goes all the way back to last season. It's the same mistake. I understand that from fans, but Sullivan is listening again, not for the first time, to the media and to other professionals, and they're not giving a toss about what the fans want and what the fans think. Because if they did, they would have got loan deals in. Loan deals are not that expensive. They can be a waste of money. Paying $4 million to get Zaza on loan for 6 months was a waste of cash. But when you're under pressure, people talk about panic buying. I think a panic loan is a happy medium in there somewhere. But you don't stump up 40 million quid for someone. You don't stump up 20 million. But you go get someone in. You know, Jack Wilshere's screaming out to go on loan. He's screaming. He supports West Ham. The links to West Ham are known. Arsenal are throwing everybody out of the club right now. It's almost like the perfect transfer to go get. It's centre midfield. It's the position, not the same type of player, but it's a position that William Carvalho plays, centre midfield. So say, sorry, Slav, we didn't get your number 1 target, but we've got you someone else that can play in that position. Here you go. He's on loan. His contract's up at the end of the season. Come to an agreement with Arsenal where we might have to purchase him in January or something. I don't know, but I don't believe that he can't do nothing today. It's just, I can be quite patient a lot of the time. I like to think I'm quite patient. I like to think I'm quite calm. But today, my buttons are being pushed by this board big time. They really are pushing, they're pushing all the switches on me. Charlie, you're itching to say something. You're scratching your beard.
Sorry, you cut out slightly. But the thing is, right, this is why I'm so itching, because you're both 100% correct. You both absolutely killed it. They're too concerned about their own reputation, and I don't know if you two shared it. You might not. I don't remember. But when you both, from Hammers Chat as a whole, West Ham Fan TV, all of the big West Ham social media things, when they got invited to the club to speak to Karen Brady directly, it felt as if it was a PR move, specifically because the board, being Sullivan, Golden, Brady, it almost seemed like there was this shift towards people saying, actually, do you know what? Why are the board doing this? They've got a problem. You could watch fan cams from West Ham Fan TV back then of people going, the board can't take us. And he felt like if they would invite us in to talk and change that opinion, there was an active panic about that. Now, I don't think they would ever do that if they cared about what people thought about him. Gonzo's right. If it was Abramovich, he would have just got rid of him and got someone else in. I can appreciate how, especially in our position, when we're not a top club, we're a good club to come and manage. We've got a good fan base. We've got a lot big stadium. We've got these players, all that stuff. But we're not a top club. So if you do hold any ambitions to get a big name manager in, you have to kind of tiptoe and play a media game as a general to sort of be like, oh, we can't piss off managers. We have to look like we do our managers good. And but the problem is what they've done is they've not fired him and they've not backed him. It would have been really, I'm not going to say it would have been easy a million times than we actually think they are. Today, if they had signed someone big, whether it be Carvalho, whether it be Wilshere, if they went out today and got one of those signings, people would be nowhere near as angry with them specifically. So, like, there still would have been problems about Bilic and tactics and all that stuff, and that would have continued into Huddersfield. As you say, 10 minutes in, Huddersfield get a goal and make it difficult for us. The stadium just turns into tatters. That would have been the thing that happened. But if they got one of those big name signings sort of things, people would have calmed down. To an extent, there would be problems, but people would be able to mold it a little bit. And yet, it's about their reputation that they didn't do what most people would consider the right thing. I will go on record and say I don't think it was the right thing to sack Bilic now. I've said that publicly. Feel free to hate me for it, that's fine. But they don't have the balls to sack Bilic, and they didn't have the balls to go and actually pay some money for someone. We're ballless. We're ballless. We don't have anything now. We've got a manager who they don't trust. They've got a manager who the majority of the fans don't trust. They've got now a board that we don't trust. They've got a board which doesn't seem to be the manager trusts. Like, here for us to progress forward and accept that, to be honest, if we were at Upton Park, because it would have been going to watch West Ham, it would have been enjoyable, but it doesn't even feel like that anymore. It feels like just going to watch a corporate play thing work, and it's just kind of crap, basically.
Gonzo, me and Charlie have been ranting away.
No, I mean, it's, do you know what the sad thing is, actually? Here we are, what are we, an hour and 7 minutes, according to my laptop, into our transfer deadline day show. And we are whinging about West Ham. And not once, even though we need players and we're bottom of the league, let's get that context in there. Not once has anyone turned to the screen and said, oh, hold on a second. Someone's been outside the West Ham training ground. We're just not signing anyone. The inactivity is quite astounding, to be honest with you. Just going on what Charlie was saying. Sorry, Charlie was cutting in and out for me a little bit there.
Yeah, me as well.
Okay, yeah, Charlie, I don't think, okay, if it's both of us, I don't think your signal's the best, mate. Listen, I do think, hello, Jason, by the way, I just think what Charlie was saying about the meeting and about the older bloggers coming involved and just what we were saying about them being so concerned about how they're perceived by everybody. I do think they're actually missing a trick. As well as they did try and get us involved, I still think they are obsessed with the Sky media, with the Sun newspaper, or whatever newspaper you choose to read. The traditional media, I still think they're obsessed with it. And the truth of the matter is, everybody's, and I mean everybody's in the whole West Ham social media world, that's where people go to for their news. I guarantee now that most people haven't been refreshing Sky all day. Most West Ham fans are going to their favourite West Ham media outlet, be it us, be it West Ham Fan TV, ex-employee, Claret and Dew, West Ham Till I Die, whatever. Choose whatever you want. That's where people are getting their West Ham news from. And I do think the owners are probably missing a trick, because I just think they're probably, if they want to deal with the fans, if they want to communicate with the fans, then that's how they probably need to be looking at it, and just not even communicate with us, but that's where the fans are. And I just think they're so worried about how they're perceived and what their reputation is in the mainstream media. They're actually forgetting how we as fans feel. And just like Geo said earlier on about Rio Ferdinand and Savage and all the rest of it, you also had Stuart Pearce doing it the other day. I know Stuart Pearce is a good bloke. He played for West Ham and all the rest of it. But you listen to any of these guys, they're not going to say anything bad about Bilic or anything like that, because they're all sort of in it together, and they would all I'll give him the whole season, he's done a terrific job. Well, actually, it's us as fans inside the club, and we know what's wrong because we watch our team week in, week out. And I just think they're really missing a trick on that.
Well, the reason I think they're in with the newspapers is so they can keep using them as puppets whenever they want to leak something out there, where there is Carvalho, whether it's about Mancini or something. Very handy to have one or two people, Dad and Lewis, for example, on phone, on number, hot dial, ring him up and tell him you've got a little scoop for him. You wouldn't mind getting out into the press and stuff. And I think that's where they come from. Right, Charlie, have you got anything you would like to say before you disappear back to the live chat? Keep people entertaining. We'll hear from Jason.
I will. I'll say, one, hello, live chat. I'm about to come and speak to you again. Don't hate me too much for saying I don't think they should sack Bilic. Two, what I always say is, Gonzo, it doesn't matter. Do you know what? If they were going on about how important Sky is and trying to sucker up to Sky and being too worried about their opinions, do you know what? It doesn't even matter. They shouldn't, to an extent, they should not care about our opinions, and as in the West Ham media's opinions and the Sky opinions, because do you know what? Things to placate either of those, although one set of those people, the West Ham media, are the people who pay your bills. If you're doing something because you think someone else thinks it's the right thing to do, is right, and if you're not doing what you think is right, then what's the point? I can disagree with things Bilic does, disagree with the things the board do, and that is the thing I can deal with. I can deal with having a disagreement with someone. I disagree with tons of people all day. Don't run a club because you think it's what someone else should do. Because
I agree, Charlie. I agree. And with that in life, don't do something because, you know, anything in life like that. I didn't mean that. I meant to get the message across to the fans, not to placate any type of media. I just think sometimes when they're talking to Sky or they're talking to the Sun, actually they're talking to Man City fans, they're talking to Arsenal fans. If they really cared about their reputation, they should be cared about their reputation as how they're perceived with West Ham fans. They should be doing everything they can to talk to the West Ham fans and to make sure the West Ham fans feel good. And the only way they're going to do that is by running a proper tight ship and doing what the team needs, getting the right team on the pitch and getting the club running properly.
And moving swiftly on, right, Charlie, we'll catch up with you in a bit, my man. Now, Jason will bring you in, and now we're going to move on to our next topic. And I think this highlights, in a way, how they don't listen to the fans that much. They don't care about fans. Jason, Queen or whatever, away to Sheffield United on loan. Sheffield United?
It's just almost ridiculous. I can't wait to see the day we start doing business with Millwall. If they had any sort of like shred of credibility, they know this is a no-go zone. In fact, they were the ones even footing the bill for the fine from Sheffield United's court case. And I remember it rumbling on and on and on. I think it came to about 30 million, something crazy like that. And you think Sullivan Gold would have been, you know, unless, you know, they're getting on a little bit, maybe their memory's not what it used to be. But you don't get back into bed with people that have taken you to the cleaners over the, you know, even if it was a decade ago, you just an absolute no-no in my books.
Can you believe that, guys? I mean, when I saw it, I thought someone was taking the piss. I thought it was like one of those wind-up accounts that change their name on Twitter and put out a tweet hoping everyone will think it's a certain person. But when I seen that it was genuine, I thought, we're dealing with Sheffield United. Of all the clubs we can deal with, why are we dealing with them?
No, I was saying the same to Tom when you were getting your pint of rosé wine earlier. I think it's absolute disgrace, actually, again, for all the reasons that you've both said. I would normally say the memories are short, but they actually inherited the debt when they came to West Ham. In fact, I remember Karen Brady, when she came in, saying, there's no way West Ham should have agreed to this. She said, if we were at the club when this happened, there's no way that we would have paid this debt. Because don't forget, that kept on getting thrown out of court. I think they took us back and forth until they could find a judge who was I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say anything litigious, actually. But until they found a judge that would rule in their favour, because I think the first 3 or 4 didn't, and somehow we ended up paying them 25 million, which actually, looking back on it, legally, we probably didn't have to pay. They were relegated because they were crap, because they got a draw against Wigan, as I remember it. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. We had to pay them 25 million for them getting relegated. That was that. There's no way we should be doing business with them. And I think for the first 2 years of Gold, Sullivan and Brady being in charge, I still think there was still 8 million of that 25 million left. So the first thing they had to do when they came in was give Sheffield United 8 million quid. We should be doing them no favours at all. In the same way that we once said we will not do business with Tottenham, that is, in many respects for me, more reason not to do business with Sheffield United than Tottenham. In fact, in many respects, they are the only club not to do business with.
I quite agree. Spurs are a rival. Sheffield United are someone that's conned money out of us almost and caused us financial issues for years, and we're giving them a favour. But Jason, let's remove the Sheffield United aspect. Our young player with a big future, gone out on loan into the Championship. Good deal for him. Are you looking forward to seeing how he gets on down there?
Oh, yes and no. I mean, I feel like we're probably needing more in and around the squad, to be honest. We keep talking about how paper thin our squad is. This would have been the perfect breeding ground for him to sort of push on and actually probably get some games. I know it's almost the case of like, we can't have our cake and eat it too with having seasoned internationals playing over the youth players, but this is almost the time where it's like we need everybody in the squad to call upon and then some at this point, because I mean, even if we just bring him on as a sub, that will mean so much more to him than having a scrappy League One Championship. I don't even know where Sheffield United are at this point in time. I couldn't really care less than having him play in and out, get beaten and battered by League One or Championship opposition, or actually playing in and around international players at West Ham, being a part of the training ground, and actually, you know, potentially featuring some first team games. Because I know, God knows, we're going to suffer some injuries and we have no wingers. You know, it makes almost no sense letting him go.
Jason, 45 minutes till the window closes. Still, 0 rumours for West Ham. What's your thoughts on it? We've heard mine and Gonzo's and Charlie's. What's your thoughts? Signing no players today.
Pretty much, I think I've gone through the 5 stages of grief, to be honest with you. I've had denial. It wouldn't be so typical if you didn't buy anyone. Then it's starting to turn to anger. It's now, I'm leaning more towards depression now. We've got so little time left, and I think the only stage we've got left to hit now is bargaining and acceptance. We got to pray. I don't think I'd ever have to say this. We have to pray to the gods of football to just bring us something, bring us someone, anyone. Kaleri back, bring Kaleri back. I'd be so happy with that, or anybody. And it just kind of goes to show like how quick, as you were saying in football, how quickly things can change in the space of a couple of weeks, a couple of days, a couple of hours. You know, it's just, I'm just gutted.
Who would you bring in, Jason, out of interest? You know, we're going into today's window. I've seen a lot of people coming up with different wish lists, if you like, but what was your priority position?
Well, I think the glaring obvious thing is that we have the no link between defence and midfield, and when we all go rampaging forward, we leave nobody back to cover, you know, to mop up behind it. I think Carvalho was almost too good to be true. I remember ages ago, Tony Henry did an interview on the official side. He was like, look, we're looking to bring in about 3 or 4 quality players. And I was like, on the surface, perfect. That sounds absolutely great. We don't need quantity. We need quality. What he just failed to mention was that we're going to absolutely swap the decks of everyone and it was almost just like there's no middle ground. I just think we needed to keep some of these squad players. I know this last season was pretty much a write-off, but we couldn't have just almost erased it all from memory. I think the only one left now is like Jose Font and Edmilson Fernandez. But to answer your question, realistic signings and wish lists, Carvalho would have been the top of my list, or anybody of that sort of ilk, anybody to have linked defence and the midfield. I think that's where we're severely lacking, and football's evolving in that way. That's almost like the new trend now, the Kantés and I can't even think of another example. The Kante, he's the go-to guy for this. I think we were screaming out for him, and I can't believe we missed signing him 2 seasons ago to go for Alex Song instead. What could have been? We could have won.
Gonzo, what about yourself? I'm not actually asked you yet. What would you, today when you woke up, what were you hoping we'd bring in?
Well, I thought like everybody else. I mean, this is dealing with hindsight. At the Man City game, the pre-season friendly, I looked at it and we spoke afterwards, and I said this midfield's dysfunctional, and we can't pass the ball. That's my big thing about that midfield. We just can't pass it. And I know some people have got things about there being defensive midfield a sit in front of the back four. I can see that as well. But my big thing when I watch a team is I see a big gap between the striker, who has been Hernandez, and just getting the ball to him. So, and they just can't pass it between each other. So when we were linked with Wilshere, I was pleased. And as you know, that's not just about today. As you know, we've done many cup of teas. I like Wilshere. Wilshere's my type of player. He can pass it. He passes and moves when really we've been passing and standing still recently. I would have been really happy with Wilshere coming in. As far as the team was concerned, though, I did think we were a winger shy because, as Jason said, we've sold the family silver. And obviously, as we've all highlighted, we needed another striker. I mean, what you said earlier, Geo, was real, sort of really resonated with me. And sometimes you need somebody to take you back to remember where you were. And we were when Hernandez come in. We were thinking, okay, it's Gray or someone else coming in, or Defoe had already gone, but maybe we can get such a... There was never any doubt that we would get somebody else. It was going to be one expensive one and one sort of middle-of-the-road one, and he was going to be a bit better than Ashley Fletcher, sort of somewhere in the middle. We never imagined that wouldn't happen, and that's really what I was hoping for as it built up through the window. Obviously, as it got closer to today, you sort of knew that not a lot was going to happen. And then when the thing happened with Sakho, then we were very aware yesterday that the board were going to make a stand, make a moral stand. Oh, crikey, that's the wrong time to make the moral stand. It's the wrong player to make the moral stand with. And what has been, so yeah, that's what I was hoping we'd get Jack Wilshere, and sort of hoped that we might get a striker, but I didn't fancy it. I still do now. In all honesty, Geo, 21 minutes past 10, I still hope we'll get Jack Wilshere. I really do. I really rate him as a player. Ross Barkley rejects move to Chelsea, just popped up, by the way. But I just don't think it will happen.
No, it can still happen. I mean, you don't have to do the medical before 11 o'clock. The paperwork needs to be in, but you've still got longer, tomorrow or whatever, to get the actual medical side of it done and stuff. But I just wanted a pacey, someone that can play winger or up front, almost like Ayew, but a bit faster. I want pace. I mean, I actually think our centre midfielders can pass. I don't think Cech can, but he's not a passer. He's a mover, if you like. But Obiang, Noble, Declan Rice, they can all pass. But the problem is, Antonio, Ayew, and Fernandez, on Saturday, we're just standing watching them, just looking at them. And you can't do that. We've got literally no movement. The only one that was moving was Hernandez. And I thought, how is our striker coming all the way back, overtaking the attacking midfielders and getting the ball? As an attacking midfielder, you're not thinking, looking at Hernandez going, oh shit, I should probably be doing this. No, they didn't know that. All three of them just constantly stood still. Antonio was bombing forward, standing forward, and Hernandez was having to get out on the right wing to track him because Antonio was so far forward, just walking back. And you just thought, so I thought we need someone with a bit of pace, a bit of creativity, and someone who's not afraid to go back to Noble or Rice or Obiang or Kiati and say, give me the ball and I will take it up the park, because Ayew's not doing it, Fernandez ain't doing it, and Fernandez is young. I don't blame Fernandez. He's young. He's got to learn that. Ayew should be doing it, Antonio should be doing it. Neither are. So it's someone who's pacey. Who the answer to that is, I don't know, but I'm sure there's at least one of those players that moved today. I mean, I'm not saying this person, but you've got Perez at Arsenal. Now, if he's actually gone out on loan, I don't know.
He has.
But he's the type of player you could get. Joel Campbell, now, I don't think I'd want to see him, but that ilk of player that will move, that will get the ball, that's who I want to see. But Jason, we got told after Hernandez, one out, one in. Fagulli's been sold. Snodgrass has gone out. What we have to remind ourselves is, while it's only 4 million in transfer fees, it's probably about 100 grand a week we've saved out of those two players. That's a lot of cash we're saving.
Oh, absolutely. We were saying, I think they were saying for the longest time, it's like to sell these players to free up the wages. But I'm like, who are we freeing up the wages for? I know we're probably paying a wedge of Snodgrass's contract. I mean, we'd have been lucky to have gotten someone to inherited that, but I don't think Villa are mugs anymore in this, in this day and age. Now they've been bought out by that Chinese owner. And yeah, it just begs the question: why are we letting these players go if there's no plan in mind to bring anybody in. You'd think they'd have plotted out over the summer, draw up the list of targets. So it's not even like we're going into it blind. We have had months to prepare for this, even probably before the season ended. Players probably knew they were going. Players probably, and we would have earmarked players to have been coming in. So I just don't understand where this lack of game plan is, or if it is just blind ignorance, or probably even worse, more malicious. They're just refusing to spend it on Slav.
I just don't get it. We play two wingers. Bilic's preferred formation is quite clearly 4-2-3-1. It's very, very clear that's what he wants to play. Fine. But how are we going into the season playing 4-2-3-1 with two wingers and Antonio Arnautovic? You ain't a winger. Well, you can argue, you can make a case for him, and you can make a case for Lanzini, but Lanzini's been that hole, and that's where I think he's going to be playing. So how are we... That's like going into a season with one left back and one right back. It's mental. Like, surely the board must be saying to Bilic, you need another winger. Bilic goes, no, it's okay. Surely, like, I put this out on Twitter earlier, and I hope this makes sense. If I owned a joiner company, and I said to my joiner, would you like a new saw? And he says, no, I'm fine. But I thought he needed a new saw. And he's sitting there with a fucking knife trying to cut a bit of wood. I would go get him a saw. Regardless of what he said, I'd go get him it. Because at the end of the day, my job is to provide him with the tools. And if he says, I don't need a saw, and I take his word for that, I'm not providing him with the tools. Regardless of what that guy says, I ain't doing my job. So I would be giving him and saying, no, you will use this brand new saw I've just bought you because it's a lot more efficient than what you've got there. Trust me, use it. You might like it. And then hopefully he would use it and go, oh, yeah, okay. And the prime example is our hammer of the year last year. Bilic didn't want Antonio, but they went and got him anyway. Bilic gave him a go. The rest is history. He's now one of our most important players. So how can you possibly say Bilic doesn't want a new player? Okay, but the next manager might, and let's be perfectly frank, we're all in agreement here, there's going to be a next manager, and it's probably going to be this season at some point, unless Bilic's managers get enough points to warrant him staying until the end of the year. But I just don't get how they can sort of take Bilic's word, but I don't really believe that this is Bilic's word. I just don't believe it, because I just do not trust this board. I just cannot trust this board at all. I've tried. But they mislead at best and lie. Misleading at best. So I don't know how you can go into a season with two wingers and Carroll and Sakho as two of your three strikers is criminal. If we go a game without Hernandez up front and Lanzini midfield, we're playing for a draw.
Mm-hmm. To use your analogy with the supply thing, it's almost like where we had the one trouble area sorted with the infamous right back situation. So it's like we've given Slav a saw, but we've taken away his hammers. So now it's like, okay, but you've got the right back situation sorted, but now we're going to take away all your wingers. So it's now like, are we just never meant? Is it just a prophecy that we're never meant to have a fully complete squad? Where I just.
Well, it's probably even worse that way. It's probably even worse than that. It's probably like Slav has said, was there any work next week? And there's just been utter silence. He wonders if he's going to be using the tools and building any cabinets next week. And he doesn't actually know if he is. So I'll tell you what, we're bearing in mind that he is operating under that cloud of uncertainty. If he does turn it round and if he does get results the Huddersfield game, which obviously is at home, and then away to West Brom, which as Geo says, is going to be tough. He's not mucked around purely. He's had a good start to the season, been signing players as well. If somehow he can pick himself up, that's the first thing, and then G up all the players, and then come up with a tactical plan, I'll tell you, I will be very, very, very impressed, and I will... he will go up in my estimations for that, because he is on a hiding to nothing now. He really is on an absolute hiding to nothing.
All I can say is it's almost like it's the same story over and over again. We have a crisis. There's a meeting for Bilic and the board. They put their differences aside. They draw a line in the sand, and Slav goes on a mini run again, only for the same thing to happen again. It's like, all right, we're going to think about it this time. We're really going to think about sacking you this time. So you're on thin ice now, Bilic. And then we're going a mini run again, and then it all gets brushed over. And I think now with the international break, I think the board are going to be banking on tempers to simmer down a little bit, because it's a good few weeks without any West Ham sort of football or any sort of West Ham news, and it's all going to just simmer down again. So we've got to stay angry. I think if we're to send a message, we have to stay angry, and I think they're banking on football fans having a short-term memory at this rate. I really do. I really do.
The dude is currently on Sky Sports News outside the ground. It looks like Sakho and Quina. It looks like Quina's moves to Sheffield United is actually maybe broken down. I've got subtitles on because I don't want audio booming out over this, but it looks like Quina's deal to Sheffield United might be off actually. So the live chat can let us know. I wonder if that's maybe the fans' revote, because I know Needs Up Mother Brown had a poll, went straight away. Needs Up Mother Brown had a poll up, and there was 85% of fans basically saying this is a slap in the face. This, I do wonder if maybe they tried it before, but to be fair, that's when Jack Sullivan asked us all if we'd mind signing a rapist. At least we've improved a little bit since then. We're no longer targeting rapists.
We've got morals. We've got us West Ham fans. We've got morals and standards.
So is it now like, do you want us to deal with fraudsters now? Yes or no?
So why has that not been the option tonight?
We'll have a mugger though, Revel Morrison, someone that slaps his bum around. We'll have one of them, but we won't have a rapist. Yeah,
that's what they're asking Bilic, really, isn't it? Do you want the rapist or do you not want anyone? No one, fine. Bilic doesn't want anyone. No one.
Backs to the walls, boys.
This is taking a turn. Imagine if someone just snips this clip out of here. Look what the boys on Hammers chat were talking about.
And the guy outside the training ground was saying Quina's move to Sheffield United is off and Sakho is staying.
Do you know how sad I am? Sorry, before you ask Jason, when you said as a guy outside I still had it in my mind. We're signing a player.
I'll tell you what, though, if something was to happen, there's no way we'll hear it on the TV first. One of the Sullivan kids will be straight on the Twitter. Hey, don't go to bed yet. But Jason, what's your thoughts on Sakho then? Because he's the biggest talking point of the last 48 hours because there's nothing else to bloody talk about and there's no fucking incomings. What's your stance on the Sakho thing?
Oh, I was going to say the biggest story about of our whole transfer window deadline day is a man met a man about a horse. That's all we've had, you know. And I remember Gonzo saying about this blueprint to leave the clubs and stuff like that. And I know we with Payet, I think it was a different situation with how much he was earning on a weekly basis. And I know the owners aren't the wealthiest in comparison to sort of the oligarchies and these consortiums and so on and so forth. I feel like we just financially could not sustain keeping Payet in the reserves and watching him rot. But I feel as though we can with Sakho. In comparison, because I know he's not on the highest weekly wage. I remember that was one of the things when we signed him at the time. He was affordable. He was a cheap option. That somewhat came off good, albeit at a hefty price down the line. But I feel as though this is the player we can make an example out of, banishing him to the reserves to train on his own and to just be absolutely miserable for that last year of the deal. Take him away from the limelight. Kill his chances for a World Cup year to earn himself a chance to move abroad or anywhere. And I feel like this is why they're coming out with the I'm not leaving and the integral part of the squad.
Jason, we've got literally 3 strikers. Can we afford to do that? Because what you're saying is now. I get what you're trying to say here. Because personally, if they still sold him tonight, there's a little part of me wouldn't mind that much. Because a little part of me would think, you know what, he's only going to get injured at some point very soon. Blah blah. So take the money and run. But we're now, if we do what you're talking about, we're not talking about having Martinez as our third choice striker. Now, while that's fine in theory, it is very, very risky. We have no points.
And, it was really enough. I was mentioning to you guys a bit earlier in the group chat today. Coincidentally, the West Ham official website posted an article about Tony Martinez being our next Harry Kane from Terry Wesley, which kind of almost lays the foundation of prepare yourself for failure. Well, not prepare yourself for failures, but prepare yourself for disappointment. He's going to be our option, our third choice striker, which, great for Martinez. He gets first team games. He gets the sort of his chance to make a name for himself. But in a results based business, I think the writing's on the wall for Bilic. Really do.
This is where we have a knock-on effect, though. Last season, we could have tested Martinez a little bit, particularly when we were safe and there was a few games left. We could have thrown him in and said, right, let's see if he's ready. Because pre-season, to me, he didn't answer the questions. He scored a couple. And I think if he didn't score, I think we would have all said he's not ready yet because he didn't really do much. But because he scored, you're thinking, well, he scored, so maybe he is ready. And I've seen that article. I've seen Martinez tweeting that he's hungry now and stuff. So maybe he has been given the nudge and stuff. But this is where I've always said, and I think most fans will agree with me, all we want from the board is honesty. And if we really are going to be heading in, if we really are going to be, and I sometimes think maybe that's what Bilic is trying to do, and just say, look, we're only going to get one more player. It's going to be Carvalho. And it sort of turns back, and people say, well, that's not enough. But at least he's trying to say, we're only going to get one more. But this is where, despite everyone, all in the nose and stuff, saying we're not actually going to get anyone today, we all woke up thinking we're going to get someone today. We still all thought everybody that had his contacts at the club were wrong. We thought, you're all wrong. You're all wrong. We're going to get someone. But here we are. Martinez is possibly our third choice striker going into the window for this one. But Gonzo, you've been sitting there quiet for a while. What are you thinking?
On the point you made there, I think we want to be optimistic. We want to do the world. Well, the reason we wake up and think, forget what you said, or we're in the nose. We're going to get someone. They're going to surprise us. We want to be surprised. We want them to work out. We're not starting as fans from a position of malice, wanting people to fail. We want Bilic to win. We want the owners to succeed. We want them to provide us with these players. That's why we wait. As each one of these instances happens where we're let down, we get more and more sour and we get more and more bitter. And it gets to the point where if they're not careful and they carry on like this, they'll end up in the position where Terence Brown was, where it will actually be untenable. And they almost won't want to turn up at the ground. And they've now got to go a very, very long time. This morning, they woke up in a position of power. The position of power was they could do something to change what's happening. They move when the bell strikes in 25 minutes or whatever it is. They're no longer in power. They can no longer do anything. So what you have is you have a long period of time between now and January for the fans' frustrations to fester. Because they've got this self-imposed thing of how long they have to give Bilic because they don't want to be perceived to be arseholes. They're now putting themselves in a position where if we carry on our run of losing form, they're just putting themselves in an untenable position and they're making it very, very bad for themselves. The other thing that I did want to say when you were speaking was Jason spoke about when Geo, you said about the saving of the money from Faguli and whatnot. And Jason said, sort of, what are we saving it for? I had a bit of that myself with the Sakho thing, because somebody said, we are 9 million. If we can get 9 million, why don't we just take it now? It's 9 million. 9 million's good. It's a profit. And whilst I understand that, of course, it makes perfect sense. In the normal world, someone's going to be out of contract. He doesn't want to play for us anymore. Get the 9 million. But I actually looked at it. I thought, what's the point? What is actually the point? Because even if we got that 9 million, just like we got the 7 million from Fletcher and whatever, the few million from Nordveit and the 4 million from Faguli, all of that stuff, what benefit has it actually had to us at all? None. Because I tell you what, even if we had sold Sakho for 9 million and we had another 9 million to add to the kitty, we'd still be sat here now whinging like a bunch of old tarts that we haven't signed anyone. Do you know what I mean? And that it really is the problem with it. There's money in the kitty. We've got plenty of money in there. I'm adamant. There's 30, 40 minutes. We'll have to wait for the accounts to come out the next time, but there's money in the kitty. All right. No one's run off with it. All right. It's not gone into anything else. The debts have not been paid off. There's money in the kitty. This was a record year for the Sky money. I tell you what, we're not even spending the 30, 40 million that's there. Add another 9 million to it not to spend. I just don't know where. We're just not using the money. I think it's disgraceful.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I don't think they want to sell Sakho. His wages are piss poor. They are not Premier League striker wages. So they want a Premier League striker. They're going to have to pay double the wages Sakho is on. He's on 27 grand a week or something. That is Championship striker wages. So if they want to get a striker in to replace him, they're going to have to get a Premier League striker. And to do that, the wages are 50, 60 grand a week. It's double what Sakho's on then. So, I actually had 2 bets on signing players. Fun game. Jason, you might know. I might have told you in the WhatsApp group chat, so I don't know if you know. Gonzo, I bet on 2 players. West Ham signed 2 players. I put one on yesterday and one this morning. Guess who they were? Live track and guess as well. Live track and guess. I bet on 2 players.
Okay, well, we have to do, like Guess Who? You ever play Guess Who? Where you say, has he got glasses? Has he got blonde hair? All right, okay. Are they English-based players?
They're both English-based players, yes.
Are they strikers?
One is.
You thought we were getting Peter Crouch?
No.
All right, well that's it. I'm done. I don't like Guess Who. I don't play. We play Collect 4 instead.
I had a £10 on Jack Wilshere, 5-2, 35 quid back. So hopefully somehow in the next 20 minutes we'll squeeze that through. I had that today. Yesterday I had a £5 on Dwight Gale. Now for me, I've always thought he's an okay striker. He's an okay 5 goals a season. Now, while you're away laugh, 2 years ago I used to say £1 million a goal in the Premier League. That's how much you pay. You get a £5 million striker. That was 2 years ago. Now I think you're looking at £2 million a goal in the Premier League. You get a striker that scored 10 goals at least, you're looking at 20 million plus. So if he scores 5, you pay 10 million. So with Dwight Gale, it looks like Newcastle again. And I thought, well, that's the type of deal we would go for. There's not even that. We're not even probing things like that. There's a guy that Newcastle are supposedly actively looking to sell. We're not even knocking on the door going, well, how much are you wanting for it? We're just giving you 3 points, mate. Do you fancy give us your striker? It's not even, there's just nothing. Jason, is it just us or is this... What's going on?
I wish I had the answers at times. You know, I'd make a lot of money if I knew the answers to what is going on, you know, behind the scenes at West Ham. I just think Bilic has been a dead man walking since day one. Even, you know, remember we hark back when we first brought him in, Solomon was like, yeah, we're great to have him, but, you know, we wanted Rafa Benitez. So he's already dead from the get-go. Barring the first season he had, you know, the farewell Bolin, it was almost like the perfect storm. You know, the stars aligning in that season. But now it's just come back to reality. He's had one arm tied behind his back since day one, pretty much. He's had the signings fed to him. You know, and the ones he has signed, I don't even fully agree that they all probably have, you know, even the ones that have said they were his signings from the background on that, he's probably still gone into it saying, oh, you can have your one, but it's going to be on David Sullivan's terms of the freebies and the loans and everything, so on and so forth. And it's now coming to the point where the board are just now refusing to spend money on him to gear up for either a takeover or to bring in a new manager to clear the decks and let the own manager have his own stamp on it. And I just think, you know, he's been dead from the get-go, to be honest. I really feel for Bilic. I would say, going into the Bilic situation, if I wanted to stay or go, I would probably rather see him walk away only for himself and for his credibility and for what he has left of his reputation, and also for the greater good of the club as well. If it lets us bring in whoever Sullivan and Gold want, a Rafa Benitez or whoever, the Thomas Tuchel, whoever else we're linked with, and it will help us grow, then I just think it's the best thing for both parties, to be honest.
Just picking up on that, Jason. Of course, the trouble is the longer this goes on, it's like with this transfer window. What you've got to realise is we're approaching this last transfer window, even if this one that we're in now, even if we wanted some of these players, particularly the foreign players, they're going to look at West Ham now. We're not the same West Ham that we were a month ago. We're now West Ham at the bottom of the league, letting in loads and loads of goals, and dysfunctional. We're not as attractive as we once were. And then you say, of course, all these managerial targets. Well, again, the longer it goes on, now I get that very few managerial posts become available when the going is good. Generally, a manager has been sacked because the club has been doing crap. I absolutely get that. But these top guys, like the Tuchel, who was the Dortmund manager, right? Mm-hmm. These are guys with a European pedigree. They're going to look at West Ham and think, I'm not so sure. They'll look at our league position. They'll also look at a lot of our players and think, whilst there's 5 or 6 I quite fancy and get a tune of, I'm not so sure. And the longer this goes on, it just lessens our ability to get that manager. So actually what happens is we just leave ourselves in a situation that we were in 5-6 years ago, where we have to go and get a firefighting manager, which we did at the time, which was Sam Allardyce. And I don't mean, obviously, we wouldn't wait until we got sacked, until we got relegated. I don't think they're stupid enough to mirror the Avram Grant affair, but we will still have to get in a firefighting manager, and it just means we haven't progressed at all. We've actually gone backwards.
Well, in the summer, we had a nice big ship. Right now, if we were to get rid of Bilic, we're asking for someone to come and steal their Titanic a little bit. Does anyone fancy just taking this on? It's heading for an iceberg. Do you want it? Does anyone want it? But, you know, there's 17 minutes to go on the transfer deadline day. Still nothing. It's not happening, is it, Gonzo? There's nothing.
No. I do wonder who else is doing shows. Anyone else doing live shows at the moment?
I don't know. I've not checked.
I think West Ham Fan TV. I think I saw some crop up.
They're doing a live show now, are they?
Yeah, I think so.
I just wonder if anyone is watching any of these. I don't mean there'll be staff at the club there'll still be staff at the club that are as frustrated as we are. You know, there's people at the staff who will want to be reported. Staff at the club will be wanting to report good news. They really, really will. And a football club's a funny place. It's not like where you or I go to work. The atmosphere in a football club behind the scenes is really determined by the results on the pitch. You know, I mean, that you talk about going into work with a good vibe. Crikey, if West Ham won 5-0, what a great place that is to go in to work in the office at West Ham on a Monday morning. Everyone's upbeat. But when it's like this and it is toxic, it must be really a bad place to work. I understand today they even shut down the reporting for the under-23s game. So you get this I don't know whether that was accidental or what. I'm not sure what the facts are. But you get this siege mentality. And so you get this closed shop. And I'm sure that there's lots that want good news, but I just wonder if anyone that actually is making decisions have got their eye on Twitter or listening to any of these shows or anything like that, and are just feeling our frustrations. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just to put into context for those watching, the Gonzos talked earlier, the under-23s were playing Spurs. We were getting beat 7-1 at one point, and the club tweeted when it was 3-1 down, and then they didn't tweet again. They didn't tweet 4, 5, 6, 7. They were 7-1 down. West Ham had 4 penalties and they missed 2 of them. And it finished 7-2 in the end, but we got 4 pens in one game. Everything's just fucking West Ham right now. Even the under-23s are getting on that. You know, we're 7-1 down. We'll have 4 pens. We'll miss 2 of them. It's just...
Bet365 are taking a piss out of us, actually, at the moment.
Like when... whoever's at EastEnders or we do the next script, but just have a glance at West Ham, mate. You'll get a few storylines here. But it's just... But what I was going to say to you, Jason, is, do you know the last 3 years or so, we've all looked at Arsenal. We've all laughed at Arsenal. Ha, look at them. Look at their fan club. Blah, blah, look at them underachieving. Do you feel like we're slowly turning into Arsenal? To me, it feels like both sets of fans are very, very similar in the last 24 to 48 hours. We're both selling players. The manager's under uncertainty. The board seems like they haven't got a Scooby what they're doing. And it just feels like...
It is almost like parallels, but at least at the same time, Arsenal have at least tasted success. We have yet to taste success since the Intertoto Cup days, lest we forget the prestigious Intertoto Cup. And it's almost like their fans have become a tiny bit spoiled, but they're still going out to buying £50 million players. I would kill for West Ham to start bringing out that sort of money and to have FA Cup win, back-to-back FA Cup wins. I know they feel frustrated now, but it's just...
It's all relevant, though, isn't it? To go from winning a title to 5th is what we are from going from 7th in a relegation fight. It's all relevant, I think.
It is and it isn't at the same time. Arsenal never have to fear about relegation or anything like that. Their board may, love being a corporate machine in this sort of front, charging the most and this, that, and the other. But they will not be stupid enough to let Arsenal get relegated. Arsenal are too big to go down. I feel as though like some Arsenal fans need to have a look at what it's like to be an Aston Villa fan or a Sunderland fan in those years in the Premier League they've had. And then they'll see like real, if you think you have it bad in what you're doing now, have a look at some of these clubs and look how shambolic they've been. And, the ones that have lost out are the fans and, the staff at the club as well, probably looking over their shoulder whenever relegation's looming around. And, some real livelihoods at stake. I just think some Arsenal fans just need to calm down a little bit, in all honesty.
Well, I was ready to say that, Jason. What do we do now? Like, the window's always shut. We've got the squad we've got the manager we've got. Is it a case of, do we all just have to shut up, put up, and get behind the team and hope that Bilic comes up with a plan against Huddersfield, hope the players all start performing, hopefully we see the no ball of 2015, 2016? Or do we vote with our feet a little bit and say, well, you know what, I'm not coming to the game against Bolton. You can charge 15 quid all you want. I'm not paying that. I'm not turning up. Because people say this board only care about the dollar. Now, the season tickets are sold. They're guaranteed 54,000 tickets sold every single game from now on, because season tickets and away fans, bang, sold. They're fine. The cup game is the only game you can sort of point at. So what do you think we should be doing? I'm not advocating this, by the way. I'm just canvassing your opinion.
Sure. I mean, over the past year, we've been waiting for Village to come out with a plan. We've had, I know Gonzo's waxed lyrical about this, about the lack of tactical cohesion. Clubs must be licking their lips whenever they come up against us. We look like the Aston Villa of this year's Premier Leagues. I'm always trying to look around and say, there's got to be 3 teams worse than us. And from the 3 games that I've seen so far, we look like the whipping boys of this year, unless something drastic and dramatic happens, either in the next 15 minutes or however long left we got the transfer window, or for the next morning when we pull it out the bag that Carvalho is coming, and then it gives everyone the lift. But failing on from that, I just think down the line, Bilic has been treading thin ice for as long as this, and I just think enough is enough. We've got to embrace change on this one, whether they they have had a word in Rafa Benitez's ear, just saying, if you come in, we're going to give you 50 million, however much. Just something that will make a difference. And I can't deal with the same rhetoric over and over again with Bilic on this one. And I feel, as I said before, he needs to leave for the greater good of his managerial career if he's trying to deal with the Sullivans and be their puppet pretty much. Or, I don't know.
Right now on social media, right this very second, there's now a small campaign going on to raise money for the flag. I will read out what that flag says in a minute, but Gonzo, before I do, why are you laughing?
I'm imagining the sort of things that would be on the flag.
But before I do, Gonzo, what's your stance on the board? I know your stance on Bilic, and I mean you're going to do a show on Bilic early next week, so let's keep ourselves fresh for that so people can actually watch it. But on the board itself, because there's a lot of fingers being pointed at them tonight. A lot of people say, right, that's it for the board now. They can't take us any further.
Well, listen, I think what Charlie said was a big one, which was they ain't going anywhere. Okay? Why would you when you had that much money? I don't think they do. But I wonder, I'll give you my opinion in a second, but I wonder how much... Not how much they care. Clearly they care. They got a lot of money invested in it. But I wonder how much they care, how toxic and how bad and how miserable it's turning for the fans. The big one for me was the dream. Who was it earlier? Was it Tom said about being sold the dream and whatnot? The dream of moving on to the next level, and the fact that we've moved from our spiritual home for this and for what's going on now, and it's not got any better at all. The big one is we could have done all of this what we're doing now at Upton Park. We could have just stayed there, and the whole point was to move up to this next level. Well, I'll tell you something, in 2019 the TV deal is not going to be like this. In 2019, the overseas rights are going to be going to the top 6 clubs because because the overseas rights, if you're a fan in China, you don't want to watch Huddersfield against Burnley. That's the truth of the matter. So all the money, and that's going to be it's going to be $1 billion, a couple of billion quid is going to be shared between most of the top clubs. So there's going to be a disparity. So those top clubs are going to get further and further away. If you have not attached yourselves and gained yourselves a really good Far Eastern following, an Oriental following, let's say, then you're going to be gone and you're never going to catch them up. And the whole point of moving to the new stadium was to propel us up to that level. It's not happened. And I think in terms of the recruitment, I think in terms of the structure, and I think in terms of the managerial choices, I think plus everything that we've discussed, I'm not sure they can do it, Geo. I am not sure. I think they've got the dream. I think they roughly know where they want to go and they know what they want to do. But I don't think they've got it within them, and I don't think they're capable of taking us to the next level.
Well, damning words there, Gonzo. The live chat are agreeing with you. If you're watching that on playback, let us know in the comments below. This is now the flag, which is being crowdfunded on social media right now. It says, formed by the working class, ruined by the rich, sold a dream built on lies. Brady, Sullivan, Gold & Co. Enough is enough. Time to go. Do you agree with that, Jason?
Yeah, I do.
You put your money in?
Pardon? I could chip in a couple of quid, sure. I've got it on camera now. My hands are tied. So when it comes, when harking back to you guys saying about the Birmingham fans saying about how it was back for them with the board's approach and the board's attitude, I have a feeling that it could pan out almost in the exact same sort of storyline where the fans protests, Gold, Sullivan, Brady out. Brady's already on her way out. Like that's not even that's common knowledge now. And I have a feeling the Daves are probably looking at each other, just being like, "This is our make or break moment to get out." To be honest, the fans want us out. We can sell us off to the first person that comes forward. Much like they did at Birmingham, they sold them to a crook.
Yep.
And I have a feeling I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happened. They've done it before. Who's to say they can't do it again? And this is almost like the gold edge. Is it the devil we know, or are we going to go into even more disarray and end up as like the Birmingham or the Portsmouth or whoever we go on from there? So it's a frightening prospect, to be honest.
Right, well, good news and bad news. Good news is an update on Sky Sports News about West Ham. It's new. Bad news. It might be good news. We're maybe offering Sakho a contract extension.
Are we having a laugh? Where does it say that?
You're kidding.
Does it say that? Are you having a laugh?
Yeah, Gio's having one.
My sources are saying that we might offer Sakho a contract extension.
No, Gio, you're having us.
Sky's I'm not seeing that. He's having that'd be ridiculous. That'll play. That'll get the fans on side, wouldn't it? That'd be a good one.
If it was Mamadou Sakho, then I'd be like, is that the twist?
He was in France this morning trying to get out of the club. He was in France 12 hours ago. He was in France.
He's winding us.
When they told him to get back, he said, "I'm going to watch a horse."
It's late. Everyone's tired. He's winding us up.
The only horse he should have seen today was when he was training alongside Andy Carroll. But no, he was over in fucking Chelmsford, and our punishment for him is a contract extension. Well, that is actually
punishment.
Punishment.
Oh my goodness!
Punishment.
You're not lying.
Reward him.
He's not lying. He's telling the truth, Jason.
This club isn't a circus anymore.
Sakho staying at West Ham after talks, maybe offered a new deal. Club understand his personal problems. Well, I know what his personal problems are. We know that, don't he? He can't afford enough cars. He can't afford as many cars as flaming Chicharito. That's his problem.
That's because he crashed into a wall in Hornchurch.
If you can't laugh, you'd cry, guys. That's all I'm going to say. If you can't laugh, you could only cry. Maybe David Sullivan was like, you know what? I like the cut of your jib, kid.
Everyone jokes about how, Sakho and Carlo coming back is going to be like a new signing. We're literally going to get to this tomorrow. But signing Sakho, his back's fixed. Don't worry, his back's fixed now. He can play.
Can you imagine? I mean, they won't. They won't tweet it out. They won't have him holding the shirt and all that. Or him sat down at the desk with the old pen.
They slap around his arm around him.
Absolutely. With a betting slip next to him with the next horse race on it.
Yeah.
They're launching that third kit tomorrow at the club store. Give it 5 minutes. Someone's going to be launching David Sullivan into the next postcode if he doesn't fucking watch. What are they doing? They're offering the guy.
Tossing's illegal, isn't it?
Bloody hell. West Ham United.
The joke, the absolute joke, man.
You know something? I was hoping we might have signed Sakho from Liverpool, not the same Sakho we've already got. We sold for Goody so we can give Sakho a new contract.
Jesus wept.
What's going on? I need more iron brew.
It's rosé wine. It looks like urine. It looks like urine. To be fair, you're not drinking your own. It's not how hungry. It's got the special hunger into you.
I'm not kidding. I'm gonna go. What are they doing? Like,
I think they're just on. They got to be on a wind up, man. Just anything they can do to piss off the fans, to turn on Bilic, to turn on the board. I think they're just taking it, man. Taking that ball and just running with it.
What are they doing?
I don't know.
As for deadline day, who do you support? Swansea, what did you get? Sanchez alone from Bayern. Oh, fantastic. Leicester, who did you get? Oh, we got Silva from Sporting. Oh, fantastic. West Ham, what did you get? Well, Sakho's horse won a fucking race and then you got a new deal. Oh, yes. Superb.
Well, I'll tell you what, not only have they now provided a blueprint for how you get out of the club with Payet. They've now provided a blueprint of how you get a new contract. So you can expect Lanzini in the next week to be buggering off to Argentina. Then what you'll do is you'll see him down the Greyhounds a week later watching his mate's dog, and then he'll be getting a new contract.
Lanzini's new deal? They could have trotted that out today.
That would have been nice.
I'll tell you what, that's one silver line. In fact, we've not sold Lanzini, which I thought would happen.
That's because he's injured again. I don't even know if he's going to be playing against Huddersfield. He's supposedly injured again. But we're going into next season now. The transfer deadline, the deadline's literally in seconds, and the only news we've had is Sakho's got a new contract after flying to France and demanding a move. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us on our transfer deadline day special. We've got more exciting videos.
Tough crowd.
We've got a match review where there's not actually a match next week. Yeah, crikey. Terrible. What can you say?
Off their fucking rocker.
Well, they are rocking on a little bit, aren't they?
But look, we're laughing now, but...
Oh, hold on. 10, 9... They actually got a countdown. Got a countdown. Oh, wow! What a special countdown.
Well, they've now got Big Ben.
1. Dong.
There's no
Ding
dong.
dong.
Dong's finished on Big
Slag's
Ben.
dead.
It's
The
out,
dong.
boys.
Ding the dong. There we go. Look, they're all happy. Jim White's happy. The girl's happy. I don't know. Of
course, Jim White's happy. Sits next to bang tidies all day talking about football. Who wouldn't like to do that? What's going on though? Sakho, Jason, right? Let's calm down a minute.
Yeah.
Sakho, getting a new contract.
All I can say is, unless we've signed him a new deal to then sell him on, to then haggle over another price another time, that's the only positive I can take from it. So we don't lose him on a free next season. So we have to get some sort of fee for him. That's it. That's all I can take from it.
For the live viewers, stick around, because while the transfer deadline's finished, our last guest, Tom Down, who does a lot of backgrounds, he gets really angry about some stuff. He's going to be coming on in 5-10 minutes. I'm actually genuinely interested to hear what Tom's got to say. I was planning on going at 11. I've got work tomorrow, unlike David Sullivan, who's in flipping Spain on transfer deadline day. But I'm going to stick around because I genuinely want to hear what Tom Down's got to say. I hope he's had a couple of beers. I don't think he has, because he was at Thames Ironworks football training tonight. But when he comes on, I think I'm going to try and probe him and really piss him off. He's not watching this right now, so I'm going to really try and push Tom Down's buttons to get him to kick off. So we'll get Tom on.
Honestly, this could be the one highlight we can get from the transfer deadline day the discussion. Tom Down going on another one of his expletive tirades. Maybe he'll even turn up in his mum's dress again. Who knows? That's all we can look forward to. But all I can say.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. You don't leave images like that once they're burned into your memory.
I just can't believe this. The transfer deadline's gone.
I'm just refreshing on my laptop at the moment, just seeing.
Yeah, there's nobody. I mean, to be fair, the live chat, I've got the live chat up. If we were even linked with someone, it would be in there straight away. Charlie and Tom's and the young Tom's still in there, so they'd be telling us. But there's nobody. We haven't got anyone, boys. This is it.
All I can say is I can't wait for David Gold's next updated autobiography, Fool's Gold, How I Conned the East End. That's all I can say.
Oh yeah, if you tell him that you've enjoyed that chapter, he'll give you a retweet.
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen the next live chapter, Fool's Gold?
If you praise his book or ask for a ticket, he'll give you a retweet. But you ask him something genuine, he doesn't really care. But
that's a great thumbnail, Jace.
Thanks, man.
Fool's Gold. I like that.
Fool's Gold.
That's the next your shout.
That is the Hatton Garden raid job right there. That's what they've done. They've completed it this transfer window.
This is it, boys. Our strikers until January is Sakho, Carroll, and Hernandez. We're one injury away from a striker crisis.
Hasn't that always been the West Ham way?
Oh dear.
I said in the summer, I was saying I cannot wait for this season because there's going to be no pressure on Andy Carroll. We might see a different Andy Carroll.
I'll tell you something.
Already.
Jamie Norwood, yeah, I don't know if he's watching, but he's just sent out a message. Bilic walks tomorrow. That's an interesting one.
God, I can say I blame him.
Bilic say I've had enough.
If it's Bilic walking, I can't say I blame him.
Yeah, I think jinxed on he's on Mother Brown and said Bilic really wanted Carvalho. The board have refused to pay it, and then he basically said that Bilic is not happy. Bilic is apparently not happy that he's not got his man. But there's only so many times you can throw someone under the bus. Now, I'm not saying Bilic is inexcusable here. I'm not saying he hasn't done anything wrong. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, there's only so many times he can be the scapegoat a little bit, and I do wonder maybe he's decided, you know what, enough's enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting made out to be the bad guy, and while he's not perfect, it's not just him. But I genuinely feel though in the last 48 hours it's changing. I genuinely feel that the mood has gone from on Bilic and it's now on the board as well. I do feel that. I do feel the mood's changing a little bit. But I'm confused. I'm a bit worried. We've genuinely not signed anyone. We've got 22 senior players. One of them is Sakho. One of them is Andy Carroll. One of them is Winston Reid, who is injury prone as well.
Well, they're just heavily reliant on everything going well. It's like the old sailing saying, is it? Old maritime saying, with God's grace and a fair wind, we'll get there. I mean, they just need all the pieces to fall into place. As you say, there's no room for error.
The board are hoping, in their eyes, an incompetent manager is going to save us. That's what the board are hoping. The board are hoping there's a manager who they don't think is up to scratch is going to get us out of this. David Sullivan very, very soon might have to get on his knees and start praying. Well, he might not even have to get on his knees. He's quite small anyway. But he might have to start praying very soon that there's a miracle away to happen, because I can't fathom how they've decided not to sign anyone. Since signing Hernandez, I thought we were a little bit unlucky at Old Trafford. I thought we were unlucky at Southampton. We're a bit pish compared to Cheltenham, but we did the job. It's what you call a professional job, where you don't really do anything, but you're just slightly good enough to win. But at St James's Park, we got our arse handed to us on a plate. It looked like there was 101 error. There was 101 problems at St James's Park. People, when I came out that game on Saturday, people were looking at each other in shock. They couldn't believe what they just saw out there. They were thinking, how has that happened? Who do we blame here? The manager? The players? The board? Who do we blame? Everyone was confused, but we thought, right, okay, there's still 5 days left. The board are surely watching that thinking, the same as us, what is going on? We need to go get... They're chancing the Premier League status of this football club in the next few months, I think.
Just to touch on something we've not discussed in a 2 hour uneventful transfer deadline day special. Bill has just asked, hello Bill, and he was asking about the thoughts on loaning Morales. I thought, I don't know what you guys thought. I thought it was a sort of half-baked attempt. We sort of went in once, were told no, and didn't go back in again, which sort of showed exactly how much we really did want him, and probably showed our intent, signified our intent on how serious we were about getting a player in today.
No, I agree, Gonzo. It was just limp, half-baked. It was never. It was almost like, even with the Carvalho, it was just Bacca 2.0. The board shit the bed once we realised that the player terms had been agreed, put the brakes on, and just prayed for someone else to come in and just was like, please, so we can just trot out the line. We tried. Look, we're honest. We're trying to be ambitious here. We're trying. But the bigger boys came in and took him away from us. And it's almost just, I don't know. It's just
the worst thing is Morales would have been the perfect player for us. I think he's got a little bit of pace about him. Well, he is pacey enough, tricky enough. Plays in a winger. You could probably squeeze him up front if you really had to, or you could put Antonio up front and whatever. But the main thing about Morales is he's been playing counter-attacking football all his career. He knows how you play counter-attacking football. This is my biggest issue with Bilic, is we're setting up to play counter-attacking football. We're picking players to play possession-based football. It doesn't match up a little bit. We've got Ayew leading a pace attack where he's got no pace. But anyway, that's for another story. But my point is, Morales can play counter-attacking football. He would fit what we're trying to do. So when it came out, they don't want to loan him. They only want to sell him. I thought, well, bid.
And it was almost the case of Morales.
Sorry, hang on. The other thing is, if Bilic doesn't want Carvalho, Bilic only wants Carvalho, why are we even going in for Morales on loan?
I don't even know.
I don't even think it's Bilic's decision.
No, I totally agree. I think that is definitely a board one, and I just wonder. See, we don't know how much was true about whether Bilic was turning down players and whatnot. But I can actually imagine that happening. I can imagine the board saying you're not getting Carvalho, but here's this sort of left winger which we think you need, and Bilic saying, "Well, hold on, I don't want him. I need my central midfielder who I've highlighted. That's the guy I need to come in." Mm-hmm. It's almost like that Iheanacho thing that happened earlier on in the season, where obviously the club leaked that they wanted to sign him, but Bilic didn't. And I just wonder how much of that happened today. I just find it really interesting. I think we've spoken about it a number of times in this show. I just think you've got to have a really, really pissed off bloke there, and he is a sorry looking character as well, Bilic. Some people, yeah, he does exactly. Some people look miserable. Some people look miserable. I don't give a toss about it, but everyone likes Bilic and everyone wants Bilic to do well. And it is heartbreaking. Look at him there. I know he's sort of hunched over anyway. That's sort of the way. That's his posture. But he does look broken. He does look a broken man, and he can't feel that he's got much support there. And probably the one bit of support he has got, which is his little backroom team, he probably feels that's under threat as well because they're not performing particularly well. I don't know. I'll tell you what. They're not going to be very nice, but the next week and a half or however long it takes for our game on Monday, however long that is, about a week and a half, isn't it? Against Huddersfield, it's not going to be nice. It was very, very interesting to see what's going on there, to see exactly what happens.
According to the live chat, Richie saying that Sky Sports understands there's 6 Premier League deals still to be complete. They've got until 1 a.m. to complete the paperwork stuff, but the main bit of paper that they've got to send him for 11 has been sent in, but there's 6 deals. Now, Danny Drinkwater will be one of them. Silva to Leicester will be another one. So there's still 4. I don't know if Sakho to Palace has gone through or not yet, so he might be one. Wilfred Boney to Swansea might be another one. We've got Mangala to Palace as well has been linked. So there's quite a few players, but you just never know. But it's not very likely. But what I will say is I'm not seeing anything from David Gold that tweeting. Now, normally they do tweet when they are finished. They do usually say, even if it is bad news, they do usually say, that's it, done, whatever. So we'll wait. But Jason, is there anything you'd like to add before we love you and leave you? Because a certain Tom Down is getting geared up, I think.
Honestly, I am so excited for when Tom Down comes on. I'm going to jump straight back onto watching the live stream. But all I can just see is now, you said 4 deals left to be completed. You could just see David Sullivan moving to unplug his fax machine to take away any chance of any deals being completed. It's just Bilic is dead on his feet. I think, it's no word of a lie that they're going to try and sound out Rafa Benitez. I want Bilic to be the bigger man and walk away, leave with his reputation intact, saying he left on his terms rather than being forced out, how we had done previously with Allardyce. But tell you what, I'm going to love you and leave you guys. Best of luck with the rest of the transfer window discussions, and I'll be tuning in very shortly.
Jason, see you, mate.
Right, cheerio, lads.
Before we go to our new guest, as you know, who's joined us, and you can see him just joined us eating his chicken.
He's got a KFC.
If you enjoyed this so far, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new around here. Tom, I know you've been out training, but you'll know what's going on with all the transfers. We've signed nobodies. Sakho might be getting a new contract despite all his antics earlier. What have you got to say, Tom Down?
What, Sakho's getting a new contract?
Apparently.
Yeah. Is it April the 1st?
I thought he was joking. It's the truth.
No, you got to be fucking. No, I'm sorry. No, that's bullshit.
That's what I thought he was lying. I had to go and check. When we were online, I went and checked.
No, he don't deserve. No. What's he getting a new contract for? No. If he's on about 50p a week, then fair enough. Yeah. mate, it's the whole day, the whole window's been atrocious, mate. Absolutely. I just spoke to Nicky a little bit about it on him over there, like, you know, it's disgusting, mate. I can see it from both points of view, though. I can see it from Bilic's point of view why he hasn't done it. Obviously, he didn't get the player he wanted, but then you've got to bite. But then I can also say that you've got to bite your pride. You've got to bite your tongue and sort of, we actually need the players, you know. And he's got to put his pride to one side for a minute and actually, you know. I can see why he didn't, and I can see why he did. And to be honest with you, mate, this is my work. I did call it a couple of months ago, Geo, didn't I? I did say to you they're not going to financially back him because he's in his last year of his deal. And I hate the fact that I've been proven right, mate, to be honest with you. No, he wants Carvalho for 35, 40 million. That was all a load of bollocks. It was all a load of rubbish, mate. Absolute load of rubbish. They were never ever going to buy him. That's why they leaked it to the press. They leaked it to the press to basically hoping that someone like Chelsea would come in and pay the money they wanted and say, "Oh, look, we tried. It's normal spiel. It's the same season. It's the same as last year. All over again." What, the net spends about £4 or £5 million? Absolutely pathetic. Absolutely, it's a joke. It's nothing other than a joke, mate. Absolutely, it's an absolute joke, mate.
On Saturday, Tom, you were saying you were quite worried for the season ahead.
Yeah.
That's spoke to you Sunday, Monday as well. You still had that opinion. Are you even more worried now? Because after Saturday, we had time to go get players. We had time to go and try and fix it. We've rejected that time. We've said we don't want anyone in. Are you even more worried?
Well, the problem is our starting 11 is actually quite strong. Let's get that to one side. Yeah, our starting 11 is really quite good, but we are going to get injuries. We always get injuries. We've already had Rinsonbury drop out. We've already just had Lanzini drop out. Carroll's already out. The three, like, you know, we're going to get injuries, and our squad is so thin. It's so poor. It's ridiculous. I mean, how can you let all the signings we signed last year, the squad players for Europe, which were no good, for Gulija, Norwitz, you know, Yazard, all gone. Do you know what I mean? We have replied. And what it's saying to me is, I mean, and I haven't seen this on Bilic in the past before, if he does stay, which I don't think he will, I think he's going to get sacked within 2 or 3 weeks, to be honest. If he does stay, he's got to play the youth. He's got no other choice. He's got to play the youth. And he doesn't like doing it. He's been to 223 games in the time he's in his tenure at our club. So, I don't know, mate. I mean, who knows, Gio? I mean, he's going to have to, I mean, so what have we got at the top? We've got Hernandez, Carroll and Martinez. That is it. That's it.
And Sakho. He's got a new deal.
No, I don't. That guy can, honestly, he can do one. I've had enough of him. He's a prick. You don't go to another country and try and force a move. It's just alienated any sort of support he had left at the club, which was minimal in the first place. It's just alienated the whole of the support base. I'm sorry, and he's going to get a new deal. No, I tell you no, don't give him a new deal. You know what? Don't worry about the £9-10 million, which I think was overpriced anyway. I would have snapped their hand off. No, let him run down his contract and then let him go to some little 3rd or 4th division, another country, and then like ruin his life. He's a prick. No. Can't believe we're going to give him a new deal. You're winding me up, aren't you? You're still going to say it's a joke, aren't you?
No. To be fair, honestly, the Sakho thing is real, right? We've had a rant about it. Well, to be fair, we sat and laughed for about 5 minutes because the news came out while we were doing this. It came out about half an hour ago, and we sat laughing, thinking it can't be real, but it's real because he was pictured at the London Stadium earlier tonight, and apparently the club have tried persuading.
What's the deal? Do you know the details? How much he's going to be on a week?
No, nothing.
I can only assume that it's a short deal. I mean, there's no way that all that happens and you double his money and give him a 5-year deal, surely. I mean, I don't think they should have done the deal anyways. It's ridiculous. I just wonder, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what anyone's thinking. I think it's a bizarre twist of events, but
I think, come on, Chris, he's got him by the short and curlies, mate. Sakho's got him by the short and curlies. He knows they can't get anyone else in. He's played a blinder, mate. It makes it even worse, mate. It makes it worse. The guy's bent us over a barrel.
Yeah, but they showed him the way, Tom. But how they dealt with Payet, they showed him the way. They said, look, this is the blueprint. This is what you've got to do. I mean, they get played all the time like that. I think they're very, very naive. Very naive.
I've had enough, Chris. I'll tell you now, I've had enough, mate. I've had enough. How can we get through this season on a £4 or £5 million net spend? Look, I'm not slating the signings. The 4 signings have had gone straight into the first team. It's been brilliant. But haven't followed it up, mate. We needed to buy a decent central midfielder. We needed to buy a centre back, and we needed to buy another striker. We need to spend another 50 to 60 million pounds, and that's what we had to spend in the first place, wasn't it?
Well, everyone, because of the TV deal, everyone should have had about 50 million to spend. All the Premier League clubs.
The thing is, though, Chris, when you look at the accounts, mate, we have no money. Honestly, the 30 or 40 million pounds that we're going to spend on Carvalho, I'm telling you now, was the 30 or 40 million pound payday loan they usually get every year. They pay off next year. So, in a way, is that a good thing? The fact we're not going to spend it, it's going to alienate us all. But in theory, we just knocked 30 or 40 million pound off our debt. The 100 million pound we owe, 30 or 40 million pound of it is the payday loan every year. So, is that a good thing or bad thing? I don't know, mate. I don't know. I mean,
I think if we had 4 or 5 points on the board, Tom, from our first few games, it's a good thing. I think when you take it into that looks nice, that chicken. I think when you put it into context that we're bottom of the league, I think that goes out, and that's the thing. You've got to apply the context to where we are to what's happened today. So, as you said, the first 11 is good. We'd all be happy. We're all happy with Hernandez and Nautovic. We all knew we needed a right back. Someone had Hart, some didn't. That doesn't matter. He's still strength of the team. Hart and Adrian is stronger than Adrian and Randolph, you'd think, right? So, if we're sat in mid-table at the moment, we'd think all is good, but that's not the context. That's not where we are. We're at the bottom of the league. We've shipped 10 goals in 3 games. And we have no points. And with that in mind, it's not good enough.
But you're totally right, mate. How many of them players, apart from the players that left, like Noble and that, have actually been in a relegation scrap? I'm asking a serious question now. When it gets gritty, it's going to get gritty now. It's going to get really. Look, I'm being a pessimist. You know, I'm being. Everyone's going to say it's only 3 games, blah blah blah. But I've been to every single one in game, and I'll tell you now. The United one we can stomach. We only losing 2-0. We conceded 2 late goals. Look, end of the day, United are going to win the league, or it's going to be one of the Manchester club that wins the league. Yeah, we can stomach that. And then the Southampton game, we showed spirit. We actually showed a bit of, you know what, this team against 10 men played well against Southampton for 60 minutes of the game. They got let down by that idiot Arnautovic. You know, and we got back to 2-2. We a stupid penalty game. Yeah, we can, but I tell you what's not forgivable is that performance against Newcastle. And a part of it comes down to, mate, I know we were saying about the signings, it's disgusting. A part of it comes down to the manager, dude. We're going to talk about it. He's got a plan A every game, which is the same thing. You know, he doesn't change tactics. He doesn't do anything. He puts square pegs, round holes, all that sort of malarkey. He's picking the names because the IO's like £20 million. He shouldn't be even playing. You know, and this is what I'm saying to you, mate. He's got a plan A and he's got no plan B at all. He can't change up. Like, we're losing 2-0 and he's doing like-for-like subs. What's that about? Why not put a youngsters on, tell him to go make a name for himself, get us back in the game? There's nothing from him, mate. He's got no. I don't think he's got it up top to do it.
Well, he's lost his bravery. Sorry, Gio.
Can we afford to do that now, though, Tom? Because now we're away, the window's shut. We are now heading to Huddersfield, bottom of the league, no points, and we're gonna. Bilic has got a squad of 21 players, 22 if you include Declan Rice. Can't we really be looking at throwing kids in the deep end and saying, right, well, we need points?
Yeah, what else have we got, mate? We haven't got enough players.
I'm trying to say, should the board not have sorted that today and went and got 2 more players at least to bring in?
Yeah, they should have done, mate. Yeah, they're totally right. But apparently, Bilic is the one that turned and said he don't want the players. If that's the case, he's a moron. Absolute moron. I know the fact he's got the he ain't going to get his Carvalho. It's like me. It's a bit like you, Chris. Like I said it on Twitter earlier on. You get offered a decent amount of tools, like Bosch tools, like, you know, but then you have to settle for like phony little own brands or some sort of rubbish brand. You know what I mean, Chris? What I'm saying is, he obviously went for the like creme of the creme. He didn't get it. They've offered him sort of, which is not right. They offered him. The fact they're offering him sort of alternatives, like cheaper alternatives, but you got to swallow your pride. You've got to say to yourself, you know, I actually do need 2 or 3 players, not just turn and say no. I know he's obviously done it to obviously try and tell the team that they're good enough, but we can physically see it. We're not. We're not good. The starting 11 is, but the bench and that, when we get a few injuries like we've got now, we are not. Honestly, we are thin. We're dicing. You know what they're doing? They're getting a coin, flipping it, heads or tails, and heads we go down, tails we start. You know, that's what they're all doing, and they're loving it. £5 million net spend. It's pathetic. Absolute pathetic, mate. You can't. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. League One clubs are spending more money than that. Not just Championship. League One clubs. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's not good enough.
I'll tell you something. There's very, very what has gained pivotal importance whoever scores first in our game against Huddersfield is huge. Whatever team scores first, as I said, there's not a lot Bilic can do now to raise the spirits. And the transfer window's shut. He's got a week and a half. Everyone moping. The one thing, if we score first against Huddersfield, we got a chance. He's got a chance of building spirits. Got a chance of winning the game. Huddersfield score first, and I just think the implications are so much more than just that one game. Because I just think if Huddersfield score first, I think there's any way we can come back and win the game. Because he's going to have heads. You know, everyone's heads will dip. And then, as we said, it's West Brom, it's Tottenham. I just can't see any way forward at all.
Tom, let's just finish up on the transfers. Tom, I've got a couple more questions for you before we start wrapping this up. It's 25 past 11, by the way. But Tom, what's your last thoughts on the transfer? I mean, we've got told 1 out, 1 in, 2 have left, none have come in. Yep. Our strikers, we've got Hernandez, then we've got 2 injury-prone strikers in Sakho and Carvalho, one of which fucked off to France earlier and wanted to move. We're bottom of the league, no points, but we've still not signed anyone.
Yep, joining in like 3 simple words. Obviously cheated, obviously the 1 in, 1 out, lied to. So cheated, lied to, and pathetic, absolutely pathetic. The net spend, everything about the whole thing is absolute joke. There's obviously a divide going on between the manager and the board, you know, and the ones it's going to affect is the football club. It's going to affect us potentially. And we're talking about, and look, and why we're on this thing, right? Worst case scenario is we go down, yeah? We're not going down like we did before when we had Bowling Ground. We had an asset that's worth 30, 40, 50 million pounds, how much it's worth. We go down, mate, all our assets are the players. They get sold. We've got nothing. We ain't got a stadium. We ain't got nothing. That is us done. We go down, we never come back up again. I tell you now, we will go down the leagues, a bit like, you know, Leeds did. That's us done, mate. I tell you now, they're dicing with death. You don't do it. You just don't do it, Geo. You put your money up with your mouth. You just don't do it. Well, I've had enough, mate. Honestly, I've had enough. They've got to go, the whole lot of them.
Right. A couple more questions too. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like it if you're new around here. Gonzo, I asked you earlier, I'll ask you again, I'll ask Tom, and I'll answer the same question. Board in or board out? There's a massive campaign on social media tonight. It's still going on.
I just don't think they can do it, Gio. As I said, I think I'd like to think I've tried. I've really tried. Do you know what I mean? To be balanced throughout it all. I didn't want to leave the bowl in, but I sort of got what they were doing. You know, to move up to the next level. So I sort of bought into it. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to leave. I bought into it. As I said earlier, it's actually turned out that we've done nothing at this new stadium that we couldn't have done in the previous one. As for that next level, I don't think they can do it. Actually, if we are going to move forward, actually, I'll tell you what I was going to say. If we're going to move forward, we need new owners. Actually, it may be worse than that. It may well be. We might need new owners to stop ourselves slipping backwards.
Tom, same question. Board. We'll come on to Bilic. Board in, board out. What's your thoughts on the board?
Mate, look, at the end of the day, I want the board out. Yeah, I do. I was all for the start, a bit like Gonzo. I'm not going to lie. If you go back on my tweets around the time, I was all for the stadium move. But the more and more I think about it now, I'm not going to keep harping on about it because it's not about that tonight. But we did get lied to. And the fact that the final nail in the coffin is, mate, is the lack of investment. Yeah, they brought some decent players. But the amount that's gone out and the net spend and, mate, honestly, I've had enough. Honestly, there's how much we can take, you know. But they're not going anywhere. I'm a realist. And there's no point harping on about it. We can all say we want them out. You can say that's your choice, you know. But they're not going anywhere. They're not going to go anywhere until they get that stadium. Until they're like the club goes and worth £500 million to £1 billion. So when they do sell it, they can give the bit to Newham and all them sort of thing, like, you know, or get a new deal agreed. So they can walk away with their £400-500 million each, well, for Sullivan and Goldie's too. That's what it's about, mate. This is about money. There's no other thing about this. The club they're not going anywhere until they get that stadium. Okay, so we can all harp on about what we want, but you know, you get the banners out, start doing what DT does over us, like, you know, board out, you know, Gold, Sullivan, Brady, blah blah blah. But what's he going to do? They don't care, mate. They do not care. Honestly, it's just going to cause a massive rip between fans. So we've got to get behind the team, right? But I want the board out, but it's not going to happen. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen.
I'm a bit the same. The summer I wanted them out last season. Then I said, well, I'll give them one more summer. I thought, surely they have learned from their mistakes. Surely they will not make the same mistakes again that they did 12 months ago, where they misled us. I keep saying misleading at best, lying at worst. And I think they've done the exact same again here. I think they've sort of misled us. They started the summer well. 4 decent signings in. Bam, bam, bam. Everyone was happy. It looked promising a month ago. The whole picture looked promising. But since then, we've been trimming our squad. Players have left. The whole thing with the manager, he's been undermined again. Whether he should be here or not is a different story. He's still been undermined. They're now saying, well, we don't want to spend all this money on the manager's target. However, the manager doesn't want a target. He doesn't have to have him. It doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. It's sort of Bilic gets to decide when he wants a player, when it stops us buying a player. But when Bilic wants a player, it's no longer up to Bilic anymore. It just doesn't add up. There's something fucked up with our transfers going on here. It's sort of like they're blaming each other when it suits each other. And I don't even know who's responsible. I mean, the fact is, right now, our chairman's over in Spain. It's transfer deadline day. The most important day for your director of football, and that's what David Sullivan fancies himself as, the most important day for your director of football. He's not even in the country. Like, would you let a footballer, if Hernandez said, hi guys, I know we've got a game on Monday the 11th against Huddersfield, but we've got a wedding to go to, mind if I have the day off? No, you cannot have the day off. You're a footballer. You play when there's fixtures. Well, you're a director of football. Turn up for transfer deadline day, please. We need some players, but they've not come. But I'm with Tom. I don't think they're going anywhere. They apparently turned down £650 million from Red Bull. Just how much are they wanting for the club? To me, I don't know. They've got no assets, and things are going to get even uglier before it gets a lot better. It's not finished yet. It is not finished. It's going to get uglier because tomorrow when we wake up, we will still have no new players. We will still have Bilic in charge. We will still have Sullivan, Gold and Brady at the helm. It's not changing overnight. And the fans aren't all of a sudden going to be happy. Nothing's going to change over tonight, and we're going to have to go through this again until something changes. What? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be bored. Well, I think we all know what's going to change. Now, for this one, Tom, the manager, I kind of know your opinion on this, but just for the viewers that don't, I don't even know if Gonzo knows it, but Bilic in or Bilic out?
I was Bilic in at the beginning of the season, mate. I thought he deserved to. I'm sorry, them first 3 games, I can't stomach. I was on the fence beginning of the season, not so much. I was on the fence more to Bilic in. I'm sorry now, mate. He's got to go. I feel sorry for him in a way though. Obviously, he hasn't been back to the player he wanted, and obviously because the reason he hasn't been back, obviously, they don't want to spend 35 to 40 million pounds on a player who the manager potentially is going to go in. He's definitely going to go into the season. He's not going to get a new deal. He could get sacked before then. So, and I feel sorry for him in a way there. You know what I mean? Because obviously he's got an excuse now, hasn't he? If I was him, mate, I'd take my dignity. I'd say to the club, keep your money. I'm just going to walk. That's what I would do if I was him. I'd say, you know what, the guy, he struggles to walk. I know that he's hip replaced, all that. He just had a new baby like a year or 2 ago. Go enjoy life, mate. You know what I mean? He's obviously got enough money. Go live life a bit. You know, you don't need the shit of all the West Ham fans giving him a load of crap every day. You know, that's what we do. We're entitled to do that because he's the manager. You know, but when you get down to nitty gritty, though, the board sort of not giving the players and that, he's tactically inept at times. Geo, the substitutions are just stupid at times. As I said, he's got this. I don't know what the game plan is, to be honest with you. He starts with a formation, and that's the way it stays. Even when we're 2-0 down, he doesn't change it. He hasn't got a plan B. I don't know what really offers. We're leaking goals left, right, centre. And to be honest with you, I do think he rid off. I do think it's right. I do think he rid off the Allardyce sort of defence for the first season. He threw a bit of flair in with Pyatt. You know, I do think he fluked it the first season. It was a great season, and then obviously everything got blamed on the stadium move for last year. But you're right. Some of the results, even like some of the results are even that bowling ground, and even last year the results. I mean, I see another stat earlier on. We've let in 97, close to 100 goals in all the games in charge of him or something. So it averages out. If you take away the clean sheets, it averages out all the goals all the games we've conceded. It's been a minimum of 2. That's average. You know, some games have been 5, some games have been. But I think he's got one of the worst, for the first 2 years in charge, he's got one of the worst defensive records ever in the Premier League. That is pretty horrific when you think about it. So if we're conceding 2 minutes on average, we've got to score 3 to get anything out of the game. Honestly, mate, it's poor, absolutely poor. I don't know what. We're only commenting because what we can see, but I don't know what goes on in training. I've heard the training's lackluster, and it's not a coincidence that all players that leave the club, Zaza, Valencia, yeah, even though they're all rubbish, even Snodgrass now. I don't agree. He should have said what he said. He's obviously never going to come back to the club with Bilic there. Obviously, the things he said about him are just horrific. And for him, his first game against Man City is say, "Oh, where do you want me to?" Apparently, Bilic said to him, "Where do you want me to play you, the left or the right?" Oh, man, you're the one who brought me. Do you know what I mean? Which makes me think he didn't buy him. So look, in the day, mate. Look, and that's going to be the thing is, mate, if Bilic goes, though, what manager in the right mind, world-class manager, we've bang on about Mancini next year, what manager's going to come in and want to have that setup? That you're going to have Tony Emery, you're going to have David Sullivan interrupting with transfers. And if you go to them with a target, they're going to try and find you a cheap alternative. What world-class manager are we going to pull in to do that? Being realistic, no one. I wouldn't want to go to a job and have like 60% of my job sort of decided for me. I wouldn't do it. You just wouldn't physically do it, mate. So I feel sorry for any manager that does come in, but it does go. It's just pathetic, mate. Absolutely pathetic. And the Birmingham fans warned us about this, in 2009. They warned us about it. I've seen that statement from that fan. It was spot on. He warned us about these owners. But, hey, at the moment, mate, everyone's down. The football results can change our opinion on things. We could win the next 4 or 5 games and everyone will be upbeat and all them pricks that are talking about that on transfer deadline day, everyone will be giving us crap. But I can't honestly, mate, honestly, but no, for me, yeah, Bilic is, the scenario is, for me, Bilic has got to go, but whatever manager comes in, it's just going to come into the same scenario, mate. Same scenario, he's going to have knobheads in charge of the football club. Interrupt him.
Well, if you want to know what mine and Gonzo's thoughts are on Slaven Bilic, you'll have to tune in for our video, which will be next week, where we'll be doing a video specifically and only about Slaven Bilic, whether we think he should go, and if he's been given a short deal, blah, 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 who we think should come in if he does go, etc., etc., etc. So tune in for that one, and we'll put it on our forum at hammersjack.com and all the social media when that is going live. We don't know yet, but we'll get back out. Tom, is there anything you would like to say on the transfer side of it? Ignore the board and Bilic for now, but transfer side, anything you'd like to say before we all start to head to bed?
No, there's nothing more you can say, really, is it? It's just... Well,
that's why we've been talking about everything else apart from transfers, because there's no transfers to talk about.
Exactly, it's pathetic. Yeah, I mean, you can't look, Geo. If we want to be considered sort of like European sort of contenders, even to survive in the Premier League, you've got to spend more than a £4 or £5 million net spend. I know the quality of the players we bought the first four. Look, everyone's going to say that I totally get that. But we needed to kick on. Not only do we need to get them 4, we need to get another 3 quality players: a central defender, a central midfielder, a striker. We needed, and not only did we need to get no loans, we needed to buy them. We need to make a statement. We haven't done that. We haven't done that again. As you said, we've been lied to. It's pathetic, mate. I don't know how. It's just, you know what. But the thing is, West Ham, to me especially, they're my drug. I'm addicted to West Ham. We're going and they know that, and they've got us by the short and curlies, mate. We're going to continue going. We're going to continue going up and down the country, away, and keep going to home games, because that's what we do as fans, But we've got to have, unfortunately, it's just have them dickheads in charge. But anyway,
yeah, I have to agree. I think it was a good start to the window, a very good start, a very promising window. I think we made a statement of intent with Hernandez. I do think that. However, I think we've also made another statement of intent when we didn't do anything after Hernandez. We just sat back and we're bottom of the league with no points. People are looking at us and we're not doing anything. We're just doing nothing. What sort of a statement of intent is that? So we're happy to sort of finish 16th in the league.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you, though, mate. The statement of intent. You are right. Hernandez was a statement of intent. No, he's a fantastic. Look, I'm not disputing that, but that goes out the window because you haven't followed it up. You haven't gone to the next step. Not only should you get Hernandez, you should get someone. Like everyone's saying about Batshuayi on loan, but why not get by Batshuayi? Everton go spend. I know they sold Lukaku for 75, 80 million pound, but the clubs that are around that sort of level, even look at this. Look at the business West Brom have done. Oh my God, they've done some amazing business. Swansea, they've got like a Sanchez and they've got Bonnie back. They've done fantastic business. Everyone around that sort of level has gone up, but we have stayed. Yeah, the first. You're right, Gio. The first sort of signings, we were like the ones that were going up. But now we're sort of been brought back down again, mate. We're sort of been brought back down again, and it's just poor, mate. Poor.
It's just flicked to the dude on the TV outside the ground. He's still outside the training ground. I've only got subtitles on, but hopefully I'll tell you what it says there. But Gonzo, what's your final thoughts on the transfers, etc.?
Well, before I do, what Tom said then as a sentence. I'm addicted to West Ham, but they've got us by the short and curlies. I mean, you fucking stick that up on a banner. I mean, crikey. I mean, it's just true. It's very, very true. The transfers, sorry, I'm watching with you. We're watching Sakho walking through the car park, the staff car park and the stadium, in the London Stadium, getting into his Range Rover. Get a bigger car now, won't he? But anyway, you roll the dice, you take your chances. Okay, we've rolled the dice today, and what they've done is they've decided not to back the manager because they know they're gonna sack him. The rolling of the dice, the gamble is that they have enough in what they've bought already to get us through, and I think that's a hell of a gamble. Okay, because we're bottom of the league with no points. They were going. It's the wrong policy. If they know they're going to get rid of Bilic in 3 or 4 games' time, they should have sacked him after Newcastle, got someone in, and given him at least 48 hours to get some players in. And that's why we've done no business, because they will not give a manager that they are going to sack any money, and it's a bad call, and it could have the most dire of consequences.
Well, it's now 20 to midnight. The window's shut 40 minutes ago. 0 players have come in on transfer deadline day for West Ham. Sakho tried to move. He's ended up being offered a new contract extension. How that works, I don't know. But if you're watching this on playback or you've watched it live, do drop your comments below. Let us know what your thoughts on the transfer window as a whole was, and your transfer business in the last 48 hours, as everything seemed to have come crumbling down upon us and behind us. But also pop on to the forum at hammerschat.com, subscribe if you're new, like the video if you enjoyed it. Me and Gonzo will be back doing a Slaven Bilic one, where I've been kind of pro Slaven Bilic for quite a while now, so I'll be talking about Bilic and Gonzo will be talking about Bilic. So join us for that. But anyway, that's been Tom, Gonzo, myself. Thanks to Tom, Charlie, and Jason for popping on as well. And thank you very much for joining us once again on Transfer Deadline Day. And we will see you Transfer Deadline Day in summer. Thank you for joining us.